talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuff and things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants. So Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
And good morning. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. So tonight be Glenn Clark. He's, of course, Griffin Bass. Our new intern, Alex Wilson's here. We'll introduce you to him a little bit later on. Shame there's nothing to talk about. I mean, I guess we could talk about...
Mike Morales, man, he just destroyed Gilbert Burns.
That's what everybody was talking about.
That's
what everybody was... Did you end up sticking around on Saturday?
I stuck around for like one more fight.
With the guy.
No.
We were at...
That guy must have been Julian Aros's brother or something.
He was way into it, man. We were at Sports and Social inside Live Casino and Hotel on Saturday night. Had a great time for our Preakness viewing party. Thanks to everybody who came out and said hello. And as I was trying to explain to some people, it's always funny to me whenever we're there and somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, you were great," and I'm like, "I don't think I did anything. Like I just felt like I was hanging out. It just felt like we were chilling." And then people will be like, "Dude, you were so good." I'm like, doing what?
You were pretty good for.
I mean, but we were just hanging. Like that's all we do. That's why I love these events. Like. We're going to be there for the NBA Finals for sure, and we got some other events coming up inside Sports and Social. As always, it is the place to watch all of the fights. Never pay for a pay-per-view. That's silly. Instead, watch the fights for free at Sports and Social. And, of course, we've been telling you that there's going to be a poker tournament on June 7th. Alex, are you a poker player? Are you 21? Might have to talk to you about that. Might have to have a we'll get there. Might have to have a not ready yet. Not ready yet. We'll have that conversation coming up a little bit. But yeah, we're gonna be doing a poker event on June 7th. So hopefully you'll be making plans to come join us for that. As you would imagine, a lot of today's show will be about the future of the Orioles now post Brandon Hyde, and what was great is. Just like we all said, as soon as you fire Brandon Hyde, that's going to be the spark that's going to get this team going. You just fire the manager, and everything's going to turn around immediately. And pretty decent weekend. They almost won a game on Friday. So got that going for them, which is nice. Talk to Chris Rose, our buddy, Baseball Today, amongst other places. Also, Gabe Lacques from USA Today in a few minutes about their thoughts on the Orioles moving on from Brandon Hyde. I'll be writing about it today at PressBoxOnline.com, and it's not going to be all that dissimilar to what you've heard me say. This is how baseball works. I know at the beginning of the year I said Memorial Day, but in the last couple of weeks, as things have continued to go so further south, you're basically at Memorial Day. We're a week away. They fired him 9 days short of Memorial Day. That's not stunning. That's essentially the time frame at which I thought you could actually look at this as being legitimately what you are and not just a tough stretch to start the season. As we always say, when the Orioles were disappointing for the first couple of weeks, well, even the best teams have bad stretches of a couple of weeks. But once you get this deep, it's no longer a reflection of a bad stretch. It's the story of what you are as a baseball team. As I've said all along, I don't blame Brandon Hyde for the predicament the Orioles are in. And that's not to say that I blame Mike Elias singularly. I do blame the players. Like, Adley Rutschman is responsible for Adley Rutschman. These aren't high schoolers that we're talking about. You're an adult, man. If there's something going on physically, you've got to be the one to step up and say something. I blame Adley Rutschman. if he's not hurt, then he's not very good at baseball. I do blame the players. I definitely blame the general manager. And it's beyond just this offseason. The more I think about this offseason, the more insane it was that we all thought the exact same thing, and we were all right. Like, that never happens. How many times in the history of humanity has a fan base all had one collective thought and like, damn it, you were correct? We all felt the same way. Like, what are you doing here? To the point where you almost, like, didn't want to say it out loud because they must know something that we don't know, right? Like, they must know that, like, there's somebody primed for a break. No. They just didn't do anything. So this is how it works in baseball. You fire the manager. Sometimes you try to fire a coach first. And maybe that was presented to Brandon Hyde. Like, hey, you've got the choice. If you want to, you can throw,
Cody Ashley,
whoever it would be under the bus. And, I mean, we'll never know. Brandon Hyde might have said, no, I'm not going to do that. You want to fire me, fire me. Or maybe they didn't even think about it. I don't know how you justify anything that any of the hitting coaches are doing here, but maybe they didn't consider it. They did obviously fire Cousins as well, but
is it because all the hitting coaches are new as well? So
maybe I don't know.
More than a 6-week leash. But
yeah, I couldn't tell you, but they're not all new, right?
I thought it was almost.
I thought Ashley had been here.
Had he been in the system?
Yeah,
And this is like.
I thought he had been part of this. I'll double check on that. Anyway, it's not really the point of any of this. This is just how it works. Yeah, he was here last year.
Okay.
This is just the way that it works. Actually, he was here since 23. When things spiral, when they go south, you fire the manager. And if what had happened at the end of last year hadn't happened, they probably would have had a much longer leash this year. But they were a sub-500 team after mid-June last year. Didn't win a playoff game and have been wretched this year. So something has to give. Something. You can't just keep. It's the thing that I understood, Stan said, well, what's the wisdom? And if it's not his fault, fine. I'm like, what's the wisdom in just doing the same thing? And just saying, hey, there's nothing to see here. And that doesn't mean that it's Brandon Hyde's fault. And I don't just mean that it's not his sole fault or that he doesn't get the biggest plan. I don't know that he did a poor job. I think on the whole, Brandon Hyde did an exceptional job as the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. But managers are hired to be fired. I was going to save it for later, but do you know who the longest tenured manager is currently in all of Major League Baseball? 'Cause I did not.
Longest tenured manager in all of Major League Baseball, it would be let's go with is it Dave Martinez?
No.
Then it's got to be when was Dave Martinez hired? I guess okay.
I will tell you that the no one in baseball has been with their team since before 2015.
So it's Dave Roberts, right?
No. He's the second longest tenured, though, for what it's worth. His first season was in 2016. Mm-hmm.
I guess, I should know this?
No, I mean, this was surprising to me, too. After I found out, I was like, I guess
Has he won a World Series?
No, sure hasn't.
Wow. Good for him.
No.
Does
Been
it stick
to a
around?
World Series. Been to, just the one, I think. And when I say World Series, I mean World Series.
Oh, okay. So Kevin Cash.
Kevin Cash. Longest tenure manager in all of baseball. Managers are hired to be fired. This is the era of baseball. And there's a couple of reasons why you fire the manager. The first reason why you fire the manager is because, frankly, we just don't think that managers are really all that significant in modern baseball. The data, much to your chagrin, and sometimes my own, is more significant than who the manager is, whose job it is to use the data in order to push the buttons on the field. I don't believe that a robot could be manager. This isn't like where I really do want to get rid of umpires in baseball. I do think you need to have a manager, but not for the actual you're not going to overrule what the front office, and you can make this a Mike Elias thing, but I would tell you it would be no different with almost any general manager that would be hired. They set the tone. The power has shifted in baseball on the whole from the field manager to the front office. Whatever your opinion of that is, that's the way it works. They collect the data. What was the term that Mike Elias used to try to make it seem like he wasn't? He said, I'm not setting the lineups, but we have this advanced team, and the advanced team that we are like, see, told you Mike Elias isn't setting the lineups, when he was basically telling you he was. That's the way it works, though. Whatever your opinion of it is, and I get it. A lot of you you lose your mind over the word analytics. Understand it. I'll use data instead because it's less of like a boogeyman term. We don't just freak out whenever we hear it. Like, no, it's just called data, which most of us use in our professions, and we understand the value of it. Now, I get it. It ain't working for the Baltimore Orioles, so now, again, we don't like it. But that's just the way it works in baseball, so it's easier to fire a manager. Secondarily, it's easier to have an interim manager than it is to have an interim general manager. If you decide to fire the general manager, there are still – it looks more and more like the Orioles are going to be sellers at the deadline. You don't really want someone who's got one foot out the door being the one making those trades, making those decisions.
That's what happened in 2018.
Dan Duquette. Which isn't to say that I think Dan Duquette purposely sabotaged the Orioles with those trades or anything along those lines. But let's be fair. What did they get back from Manny Machado?
Dean Kramer?
That's right.
He's still on the team.
Still technically on the team. And every now and then has been helpful. You want the person that's running the baseball operations to be someone who you know is going to be here. Now, I get it. That's tricky, right? Because I'm about to say that Mike Elias goes into the spotlight at this moment. But it's easier to have an interim manager than it is to have an interim general manager. To the point, they're this bad to begin with. How much worse can they get under Tony Mansolino? And third, you do it because, as a general manager, you're also trying to take the heat off of yourself. And I don't know how this played out. I don't know if David Rubenstein, Michael Arrighetti were calling, Mike Elias, dude, what the hell is happening here? What's going on? You're going to have to answer for this. And he said, I'll fire the manager. Or if it was their idea. I don't know. We'll never know. I don't think. I mean, maybe at some point Ken Rosenthal or somebody will get a scoop. But it's typically the way that it works. It's just baseball. It sucks for Brandon Hyde. I mean, if I'm Brandon Hyde, I'm not happy that I just got axed. Even if it wasn't fun, and I'm sure it hasn't been fun, but it's still a pretty good job to have. And you don't know. If you're Brandon Hyde, I don't know when the next opportunity is. But this is the way that it goes. The idea that this was going to light a spark, I mean, come on, man. I mean, for what it's worth, though.
Almost did the opposite somehow.
Yeah, correct.
Like somehow it got worse.
Thank you for your service, Kyle. Jesus. Man. Jesus. Just it's almost completely unlikely that the Orioles are going to turn around or anything. Like, this is probably what it's going to be. And frankly, that's probably why they let Tony Mansolino be the man instead of somebody that they think might have a future with the organization. I think a lot of people were surprised it wasn't Buck Britton or Robinson Chirinos, who a lot of people believe are future Major League managers. I think the Orioles, when they go manager shopping, are going to be looking for someone with experience. I don't think that they're going to hire a first-time manager when they do hire their manager. But I also think that they'd like those guys to potentially be a part of it. And that's a fine line, right? Because it's tough to hire a manager with experience and say to him, you're going to take
Chirinos
and or Britton with you. It's more like I think they'd like to encourage that person to consider those guys. Now, that's a theory. I don't know that as fact, but it's an educated theory. It's conversations.
And, of course, if Hyde gets hired by, one of these other teams, he might take Chirinos with him.
He might. Yeah, very well might. But I think that's part of the reason why it's Mancelino, because it's easier for them to, at the end of the year, say, hey, Tony, appreciate you, bud. Good luck in your future endeavors, than it would be with these others that they hold in maybe a little bit higher esteem. And you can't, make somebody interim manager, it's more difficult to get them to come back as a bench coach or whatever. It sucks. It's a bigger picture of suck, because it's a little bit that it sucks for Brandon Hyde. It more sucks that this is the reality. This isn't shocking. This is just the reality. You're a bad baseball team. That everything is broken. Here's the current list of things that aren't broken about the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. Jackson Holiday.
Yes. Good ballpark.
Yeah, it's still a very good ballpark. I mean, broken though. They still have to fix the sound. They still have to do they got to fix it.
We got Ben McDonald calling games.
Ben McDonald calling games, not broken. I give you that. Hot dog races.
Hot dog races, yeah.
Although I gotta be honest with you, I kind of don't love the live hot dog races.
Really?
Because
then you're wrong. I think.
No, because you can't always see, depending on where you're sitting, like what if the shenanigans are.
Okay.
Like,
well, they do have it on camera, don't they? Like it's.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're fine. I think they were better doing them once a week.
Cartoon?
I think once a week was good for the live hot dog races.
Now they're doing it every day.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not sure I'm willing to put that.
I'm
not sure I'm willing to put it on the list or not. I think we're back to Jackson Holiday and Ben McDonald. I think that's what we're back to at this point. Everything's broken. Everything. I didn't think Zach Eflin was broken. Turns out Zach Eflin's broken. Yanier Cano's broken. I mean, everybody's broken. So this is what happens. The manager gets fired. It sucks. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's the way that it works. Everything now goes on. By the way, it's still important for this team to show signs of life. And they're going to have to do that, despite the fact that it's going to be really difficult, because you're still more likely to be selling. If you can't get to a contract with Zach Eflin, you're probably trading him. We've talked about how they could be getting pitchers back, but it looks like they're going to be. The reality is they need to try to go both ways at the deadline. They need to both be moving on from players they don't intend to sign and getting back what they can, but also they need to be looking to acquire pieces that could help them next year. That's the tricky part about where the Orioles are, barring something unbelievable in the coming weeks. They need to consider going both ways, because this isn't a teardown. This isn't a rebuild. This is a holy crap, we effed up and we have to fix it. This now requires some general managing. And Mike Elias has to justify why he can still be the guy despite his own failures. And that's the part where there's no hiding from it anymore. There's no, well, we really liked Charlie Morton. There's none of that. It's a objective failure, complete and total failure from the Orioles front office. And it's not just last offseason. It's also The majority of the last couple of trade deadlines, the Zach Eflin trade being the one that's, that stands out. Absolute, total, complete, abstract failure. So now how do you justify that's your guy? And everyone involved has to have kind of a come to Jesus in the next few weeks and months. How serious is ownership about winning a World Series? Was that just David Rubenstein saying what he was supposed to say when a new owner comes in? That's the way it works, right? Whenever you come in, you're supposed to talk about, we want to win a World Series. Was he legitimately saying that, or was it just the lip service, and now he settles in, and a private equity guy, he says, yeah, I'm actually just happy profiting off the team. I don't really give a rat's ass if they're successful or not. Everyone involved has to figure out how serious they are about trying to do that. And we're going to find out. Not because they're likely to start winning at any point this season, because they're going to have to start putting things into motion. Yes, they'll likely sell their pending free agents. Almost no doubt they'll be doing that. But they should also be looking at players who are under control and trying to figure out how they can start putting a roster together that's actually championship caliber, because Lord knows this wasn't this year. Oh, and by the way, they're doing that all without knowing who their manager is. Although, according to a couple people that I spoke to, it's not impossible they could make that decision before the year is over. Like, Skip Schumacher is available. I know that you want to go through a complete managerial search and have as many candidates as possible, so you're better off doing that. But considering I think they're going to look for somebody with managerial experience, it will not surprise me if they end up doing that during the course of the year. Let's talk more about what's next. Our next guests, geographically, it's made sense for him to cover the Baltimore Orioles a good bit. He's, of course, an MLB writer for USA Today. Joining us now here on GCR, he is Mr. Gabe Lacques. He's back with us on the program. Gabe, it's Glenn. It's good to chat with you. Thank you, as always, taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a weird point in time for your hometown club, but these things happen. Sometimes scripts don't go as planned. Certainly, Gabe.
It's the thing I keep saying. I don't think that this is Brandon Hyde's fault. I don't think that this is 50% his fault. I don't know any of those things. But they're a bad baseball team, so the manager can't absolve himself of blame. And to the point, this is just how baseball works. When things go south, the first guy to go tends to be the manager.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at that last week that seemed to be the kind of the straw breaking the camel's back. And you look at the buttons he pushed, that second game against Minnesota, they have this spirited comeback. Mullins hits a grand slam. They take the lead. Charlie Morton bails them out. You hand the ball to, Ynier Cano in the eighth inning. You feel good about it. Cody Clemens hits a 3-run homer. Next time out against the Nationals, really good game, well-played game, other than the left on base. You hand the ball to Keegan Aiken, left on left against James Wood. He hits a home run. Brandon Hyde pushed the proper buttons. It's like a slot machine that's like rigged to go against you every time. And it's interesting. I mean, there comes a point in time where just the tension or the air just gets affects guys, and maybe you have to make a move. I just find it interesting. Like, at what point does a manager kind of gain that immunity, like to get on that Alex Cora, Dave Roberts level? I suppose winning a championship probably helps.
Yeah.
But it's just wild that Hyde survived this terrible teardown, won 101 games, and the team underperforms and he can't get it done. But certainly you understand it's kind of the life cycle of baseball, for better or for worse.
It's interesting now because, as I was just talking about, they're in a really strange spot. You fire the manager after a season, right? Like, I think they're in a real pivotal moment as a franchise, Gabe, because the spotlight has to turn to Mike Elias. And whatever he said in the statement, like, it's nice for him to say this is ultimately my responsibility, but like, yeah, it is. Like that. This is an off season that was just a wild, wild failure. And you do start to wonder, like, how serious Mike Elias is about trying to win a World Series and what ownership thinks about all of it. And there's so much of looking back, but it's an awkward thing to do while they're trying to win moving forward. But, like, is the leadership in the front office the right group to try to win a World Series with at the moment?
Well, it's an extremely pivotal time for the organization, and you got to go even higher than that, because here we are, 13 or so months into the David Rubenstein era, ownership era, and you kind of really don't know much about him and what kind of owner is he going to be? Good owner, bad owner, meddlesome owner? Because he came into this amazing spot, inherited a real shovel-ready franchise with a ton of stability and a ton of promise. And pretty much since July 1st of last year, it's kind of trended in the other direction. So, what does he think of Mike Elias? And, I know there's, on social media, there was the Fire Hyde contingent and the Fire Elias contingent, which, the latter group kind of has its merits. But at the same time, do you trust the new owner to go it alone and strike out and find a new GM and build an entirely new infrastructure? Because you got to look at kind of the total organization, and the results the last few years in terms of player development and all that kind of stuff haven't been as good as they were the first 3 or so years. But you're talking about a franchise that didn't have a Dominican Republic scouting apparatus to speak of. Now you got Samuel Basayo knocking on the door of the big leagues. There's a lot of things that are so much better than they were in 2018, 2019. At the same time, is Mike Elias the guy to get them over the top and to have that aggression and to not worry about assets and optimality of your investments and how deep does the owner's pocketbooks go? All of these are unknowns, and I think it's interesting that they are looking for a manager, because it's not just let's pick the greatest guy on top of the stack. You have to make it a destination. Skip Schumacher sounds like a fine option, but here he is sitting as a special advisor for the Texas Rangers, where Bruce Bochy's set to retire. He's obviously, there's 2 other managerial openings already. There's probably going to be more, just because these things tend to go in cyclical waves. Why would Skip Schumacher take over the Baltimore Orioles? He has to feel good about his, the guy he reports to, which would be Mike Elias. He has to feel good about ownership's investments. So he's going to take a good long look at what happened to Brandon Hyde and what the future looks like. And that's going to go for every managerial candidate that you may want. So, not only do they, do they need to set a course for the future, but they have to come out of this kind of displaying a strong level of competence and mission. And right now it feels a lot more tenuous than it did 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago.
He is Gabe Lacques, USA Today MLB writer. He's with us here on GCR. Gabe, you bring up Skip Schumacher. We've talked about him a little bit this morning. He would fit the bill. Is it imperative that the next manager be someone with like high-level experience and success?
Kind of. I mean, it's almost like, the possession arrow in basketball. It goes one way, then it goes the other. You fire the guy who was brought on to get through the rebuild and help the young crew, with player development. Now do you get a more experienced guy? And Schumacher kind of, he's a really good candidate from the standpoint of he has a foot in both camps. He understands the modernity of the game, but he's also, kind of that old school gritty guy, played in the major leagues for quite a while, could certainly, I think, as a guy who could relate to all facets of the roster, be it, a Gunnar Henderson or an Emmanuel Rivera, just because he's seen it all and played with a lot of, great players, future Hall of Famers over the course of his career. But yeah, I think they do need, a presence, if you will, maybe a known commodity, or, there's just there's no absolutes in hiring a manager. It's who knew who Carlos Mendoza was, a couple of years ago.
Sure.
Aaron Boone's virtually invisible bench coach. He's done a great job with the Mets.
I wonder.
So, Yeah, go ahead.
No, and Gabe, like, it's funny because people around here are in love with Ryan Flaherty and would say, "Go hire Ryan Flaherty," right? Because we always just want the guy that we know. Like that's the way that a fan base works. But it's interesting what you bring up. I feel like this uniquely. I almost feel like maybe there's a thought that perhaps Mike Elias was given too much leeway, and that the on-field staff, he said this a couple weeks ago where, I'm not involved with the lineups. Then he said it immediately afterwards. But, the advanced team gives all the data. And you're like, right. So you are involved with the lineups, right? You're just trying to say it a different way. And I wonder if uniquely because of that, it does need to be a manager with a little bit more cachet. And I realize this is not baseball anymore. Like in baseball, it almost doesn't matter who the manager is. It's the front office and the data that makes the decisions. But perhaps in order to maybe push back on that a little bit, you purposely need to go that route to say, hey, we're not gonna ignore the data. We appreciate the data, but we need someone with a little bit more chutzpah, a little bit more cachet to say, this time we're not just gonna default to the data. We're going to make the on-field manager role a bit more significant than it has been because this system hasn't worked.
Yeah, and you hear so many buzzwords nowadays that are largely true. Connectivity, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
A general manager's ability to work with a manager, their working relationship, which is to say that they're able to bounce ideas off each other and maybe come to a consensus. But you're right, it needs to swing a little bit in the manager's favor sometimes. I mean, it was very in vogue in the Moneyball era, and when sabermetrics was on the rise. One of the things was, oh well, the manager doesn't matter, and I mean it's kind of true. Like you and I could go out and manage the the '98 Yankees and probably do pretty good. But when you get down to it, like, most major league managers are pretty neutral. There's a handful that are bad that hurt your team actively, just with bad decisions, bad bullpen management, bad vibes. There's another handful on the other end that are worth a few wins, that just because they're really good at this. If you're talking about Bruce Bochy, maybe Alex Cora, guys like that. Brandon Hyde, I would kind of put on the positive end of that ledger, if not, not up with the legends, of course, but certainly not, you never walked away too often with, I mean, you can parse any decision, of course. He wasn't Casey Stengel necessarily, but he managed the team just fine. So it's, how much of it is relationship oriented with regard to the comfort level and the relationship of the GM and the manager. And you're right. Like, is Mike Elias willing to, let go of the reins a little bit more than he did before, and not just in the dugout, but the organization as well. I know there's probably going to be a good deal of soul searching, and how does he come out of it? How does the organization come out of it?
I don't know, man. It is really hard, and I'm not someone who I think Mike Elias has done a pretty good job, but it is easy for a lot of people to say, yeah, it's easy to pick, certain guys. Jackson Holliday, #1 overall, right? We thought it was easy to take Adley Rutschman #1 overall. As it turns out, it might have been the worst decision that was made. Hopefully that'll change here in the coming months and years. But I do think there is a genuine question to be asked about how good he is at this, because while Zach Eflin was a savvy move, and I'm not going to take that away, Tomo Sagano appears to be a fairly savvy move. I don't want to oversell that, but there's way more head scratch than there is home run here. Like, you do start to wonder, is this guy really good at this or not?
Right, and it's a fair thing to ponder, and I think the big thing is is Mike Elias willing to change with regard to aggression, with trades, with free agent signings. I don't want to get too revisionist history with Rutschman versus Bobby Witt, especially when you pair it with Gunnar Henderson.
Right.
I mean, you talk about the first draft in your career, you go Rutschman, Gunnar, Kyle Stowers. That's pretty good. Joey Ortiz in the 4th round. But is he? One thing that really jumped out at me from this winter was that the Boston Red Sox got Garrett Crochet and the Baltimore Orioles did not, and that's the Red Sox are a viable team this year and the Orioles are not, and I think Crochet has a great bit to do with that. If the Orioles knew Crochet would sign an extension for merely $170 million and not just be a 2-year rental, maybe that would have changed the dynamic a little bit, But how deep would they have had to dig for that guy? You look back, and he made a great deal for Corbin Burns. Joey Ortiz, who wasn't going to see the light of the middle infield probably at any point in this, in his time, along with the DL Hall lottery ticket. That's great. I don't want to say they won the deal, but it was a good baseball trade. Sometimes you have to lose the deal a little bit to make it happen and get a guy that really helps you out. So, we still, I think that part of kind of the Elias resume is still unresolved. Can he take a team to another level, via trade and free agency and otherwise? Once they get to that 90 win total and want to get over the top and not regress. And that's, I think, if you had to ask me, I think he certainly deserves, another shot to kind of do this again. But what will he do differently next winter? I think that's kind of a big question that's still sort of sitting out there.
Gabe's written a little bit about the Orioles this week. You can find it all, usatoday.com. Gabe, is there anything else we can plug for you, man?
That's about it for the moment. It's felt like a long season already.
Yeah.
We're barely 25% of the way through. I guess since the Preakness was just the other day, I'll just unload one of my pet peeves, which is, the quarter pole is the end of the race. It's not the after the 25% mark, which horse racing fans know, but I always see, we just passed the quarter pole this season. No, that's not till the 75% mark. So,
I understand what you're saying, and I'm probably guilty of having done that a time or two in my life. I am probably guilty of it.
Thank you for indulging me in one of my, nerdier kind of pet peeves.
We will try to get the world to fix that. At Gabe Lacques, that's LACQUES, at Gabe Lacques on Twitter. That's how you follow him. Gabe, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, you got it, Clint. Take care, man.
Gabe Lacques with us here on GCR. I do think that experience and cachet are important. I do think that. I think that collaboration needs to be more significant moving forward. Monday edition of GCR. It's brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. We're not taking a break here because Chris Rose coming up. I know you're trying to teach Alex how to do all this stuff. I appreciate that.
We've got 5 minutes.
We do?
Yeah.
Well, then we will take a break, as it turns out. It's so funny you mentioned that because all I could think about is how we should take a break. Why don't we do that right now, in fact? Let's take a break, and then we'll be joined by Chris Rose on the other side. It's GCR.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com. Where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR. It was an eventful weekend in lacrosse, including the MIAA Championship, the A-Conference title game on Friday night. It was late-night lacrosse over at Towson, and it was a thriller. Went into overtime. Calvert Hall defeating Archbishop Spalding to win the A-Conference title. And if you missed anything from the weekend, then you need to go right now to countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. That's countysports.zone in order to find out still more championships to be handed out, the public school level, and then the private schools for baseball and softball. So everything you need to know in championship season here for spring sports you can find by going to countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. It was also a very good weekend of college lacrosse. They had 2 one-goal games on Saturday up on Long Island, 2 thrillers. Cornell outlasting Richmond, and then Syracuse in a shootout, which we kind of all expected. There'd be a lot of goals scored there. They beat Princeton. Then yesterday down in Annapolis, Penn State dead in the water, down 6 late in the third quarter. I was doing the bit where I was kind of trying to half pay attention to the Orioles game, but let's be honest, there was nothing to pay attention to. So I was more focused on lacrosse yesterday, and I gave up on it. I flipped back and started watching the Orioles again, and all of a sudden, what the hell just happened? An 8-0 run for Penn State to close that game and rally back to knock off the 2-time defending national champions. And then maybe the least exciting game of the weekend was Maryland-Georgetown. It was not aesthetically pleasing, but if you're Maryland, you will take allowing just 6 goals against a really good Georgetown team and Aiden Carroll. So they win 9-6 there. Maryland-Syracuse will be the second semifinal on Saturday up in Foxborough, and the first one will be Cornell and Penn State, the Jeff Tambroni Bowl. That's the deal for Saturday up at Gillette Stadium in the national semifinals. By the way, Alex, did you see that Dickinson won again? Did you see that?
I did.
Holy crap, man.
Good for them.
You guys spanked Dickinson, on the road.
Yeah.
They're going to play for a national championship.
I know, I can't believe it.
That's crazy, man. Alex, of course, plays lacrosse at Stevenson. That's the reason why I brought it up. I had my friend is the SID at Dickinson, and so he had me come up to call the game there.
Okay.
When Stevenson played up there, and that was very awkward for a lot of people. Like, what the hell? Yeah, Dickinson going to play for the national championship after they had already beaten Salisbury, and now they beat the RIT as well. So that's sort of the recap from the weekend that was in lacrosse. And there were other things that occurred this weekend that we probably won't have a lot of time to get into because, the Orioles fired their manager. Just kind of the way that it works. Had they not, we would have had lots of time today because there is nothing to talk about the actual baseball. The actual baseball is unwatchable. But they fired their manager, so that continues to be our focus on a Monday edition of the program. All right, let's continue to discuss it. One of our favorites, Baseball Today, is part of the Jomboy crew. Always a pleasure to welcome back into the program Mr. Chris Rose, who's back with us now here on GCR. Chris, it's Glenn. How you doing, brother? Appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure, Glenn. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Like, this is how baseball works. I saw the video that you did. I haven't had a chance to watch Baseball Today yet, but I saw the video you did over the weekend. Like, I'm with you. Do I think that Brandon Hyde deserved to be fired? I don't know. Like, the team's bad, so I can't absolve him of it and pretend like he's not part of it. But do I think they're bad because of Brandon Hyde? No, I don't think this is about Brandon Hyde. I think this is about some objective failures in taking a core group of players and building around them a group that was capable of winning a championship. But I also get that this is how baseball works. You're bad. You've been disappointing. The manager tends to be the first to go. It's just kind of the way that it works.
It is. I wonder also if they were influenced at all by the two managerial moves we saw previously in the 2 weeks with Derek Shelton leaving Pittsburgh and Bud Black out in Colorado. The difference is that those are true organizational failures.
Mm-hmm.
Here you've got a team that won more than 100 games, had the executive of the year, and the manager of the year just a couple seasons ago. And so where did it go wrong? I think for Mike Elias, his inability or lack of interest in trying to get that one big guy that could help this team take the next step. And I know he thought that maybe Corbin Burnes was it, but he also had to know in the back of his mind that was probably a rental.
Mm-hmm.
And at best, it's a 50-50 long-term move. I just have never understood this team that had to seemingly had a wonderful young core, either no interest in upgrading the team through trades or free agency to the point where it could consistently be mentioned with the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves as a true World Series contender. And to me, that ain't Brandon Hyde's fault.
Nope, not at all. Not even a little bit. And there was no world in which I could have thought this was a championship caliber roster coming into the year. Now, I didn't think even with the injuries they would be this bad. Like 15-30 is ungodly. But I couldn't see it. And I think that's one of the problems now moving forward is that like this does shift the spotlight to Mike Elias. And a real question as to whether or not he is capable of doing this to the point there have been lots of rumors floating around like this is an ego thing for him, and I've tried poking in on some of that. I do think that Mike Elias is someone who believes in, he's a Yale-educated guy. He thinks that a player's value is this because he has done all of this work to figure out what that is, and he is not inclined to give someone more than what he believes their value is, but that's just not how the market works. And I would think that the ownership of this team, if they're going to stay committed to Mike Elias, is going to have to sit down and have a conversation where they say, hey, appreciate your system, appreciate what you've done and the Pythagorean model for how you think players are valued, but the sport doesn't treat them that way. And we can't compete with a hand to hide behind our back anymore.
Well, I really think let's make it a little more simple because I like your analysis, but let's start with this. The next big time for this franchise is the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want Mike Elias running your team at the trade deadline? Because there's the possibility that he's going to prospect hug the way that he has. He did make a nice trade for Zach Eflin last year. The one for Rogers has totally blown up in his face.
Disaster.
Yeah, I don't know how you classify the Corbin Burnes one. Obviously, that was made in an off season, but you gave up a couple of prospects who we don't know what Ortiz and Hall are going to eventually turn into, but you got one solid year out of Corbin Burnes, and then he left, and you're going to get a comp pick out of that. Is that the guy you want making the decisions at a critical time of year? Because I think people will especially be calling for your bullpen. There are so many teams that are, in their opinion, World Series contenders that need bullpen help, even more than normal. I mean, there's probably 5 or 6 legit teams out there that are going to be calling. And so does Mike Elias just want to say, you know what, we just had a bad run this year. We can run it back. And is that the way ownership is going to hear it? I don't know if I would buy it.
It's interesting, Chris, because I think they almost have to go both ways at the deadline, right? Like I think we all can look at this point and say it's wildly unlikely that by the time we get to July 31st, they're in position to be buyers. But I still think that they should be looking at acquiring. This can't be an acknowledgement that this isn't going to work for the next 2 to 3 years, because if that's the case, then you need to start looking and moving on from your big ticket items. I would say that you need to consider guys that have control, that are just on bad baseball teams, that you still consider making moves for players that aren't going to help you win anything this year, because you're almost certainly not going to win anything this year. But you've got to be proactive about how are we fixing this for 2026. Sure, you're going to trade the guys who have expiring contracts. Of course that's the case, unless you're going to sign them. But you got to figure out what the solution is for moving. You don't have pitching moving forward. It's not here. You've got to find it somewhere. So I'm still inclined to consider acquiring pitching at the deadline, because you need it for 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that's the toughest time to deal if you are.
I get it.
Trying to stay true to what your core values are. But I agree with the philosophy that they have to be active. I think the biggest mistake that Mike Elias has made is hanging on to too many of those guys that are young and that were drafted. How many guys did we hear on Saturday after Hyde was fired say, hey, he's the only manager I've known?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is so rare to have that many guys in your everyday lineup, especially that have experienced only one voice. And so what that means is, for me, I've said this all along, that prospects are there for two reasons. One is to help bring your team a winner on the field. I mean, grow up at Camden Yards, and they can be the next great young generation of, Orioles fan favorites. The other thing is to go supplement the rest of the roster by trading them out of town. Now, people will say, well, Chris, we did that with Kyle Stowers. How's that working out? Well, you know what? Sometimes that does happen. Mm-hmm. I get it. But I think the biggest mistake he made was not identifying the two or three biggest tentpoles of the organization and then figuring out, hey, we can live with without the rest of them. This has gone the wrong direction quickly.
Chris Rose is with us here in GCR. Chris, to the point, Kyle Stowers wasn't even a prospect at the point where they traded him.
Right.
Yeah, we all know what he's doing in Miami. It's unbelievable. But no one here was worked up about the idea of trading away Kyle Stowers. We understood it. He was a quad A guy at that point. And here we are. Here we are. How important is it, Chris, that the next manager is someone with experience, with high levels experience, with success? That Skip Schumacher's name has come up a ton. I don't know Skip. I don't know if he's the correct fit, but I understand the profile, that both because you're walking into a place where there's a belief that you still have that core that should be winning, and almost because it seems like you need a manager who can push back a little bit on Mike Elias, if that's the way you're going to continue to go, that it can't just be, hey, we're running the show, you're here to be a robot. There needs to be someone who has the cachet that can say, hey, what I see matters too.
I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I like Skip. I do know Skip a little bit. I think he'd be a great pick, to be honest with you. Young, passionate, disciplined. He obviously got a taste of it in Miami. And I do think that that's a guy that they should talk to, no question. But I don't think that it's 100% necessary. I look at some of the other really, really good teams in baseball. Not all of them have managers that had previous managerial experience, right? I mean, Carlos Mendoza's done a great job with the Mets. He came from the Yankees. Rob Thompson, same thing, has done a wonderful job with the Phillies. I don't think that I know what people are thinking. I mean, I know that there's a certain faction of fan base that wants to bring back Buck Showalter, and I get that.
Yep.
So I hear you loud and clear. I get that as a possibility, but for the most part, you want to get the right person. I know that sounds so cliche, but I think it's dangerous if you're hunting for a specific type.
I know. Is there anything to the, like, what I bring up, the idea that you need a little bit more collaboration? There's been a lot of back and forth here in town, Chris, about a couple weeks ago. Mike Elias had a press conference, and he was asked, like, hey, what's your involvement in setting lineups? And he said, oh, I'm not involved in setting the lineups. And then he immediately on the other side of his mouth said, but, we have an advanced team, and they meet with Brandon, and they go over what the lineups should look like, and we all kind of laughed and said, right, so you do set the lineups. Like, you are involved in that process. You're just sort of deferring and saying that, hey, but the manager's the one who writes it down in pen. And I know that this goes back to the question of whether Mike Elias should be the guy or not, but it feels like this is more of a global baseball question, that the role between the general manager and manager in most places has kind of shifted to the general manager having more and more of the power. But we certainly know that there are, Bruce Bochy, it's not like that. Is there something to the idea of a manager that just might have more room to say, nah, I appreciate that. I do think the data matters, but I'm going to do it this way instead?
Yeah, but I've never been able to get a definitive answer on this one, right? The managers don't want to admit that happens because then it usurps their power.
Right.
And, well, what are we here for other than to be a preschool class teacher?
Yep.
And
by the way, Chris,
fight.
to your point, it's required, like, Buck's been the one that's, like, really driven that home to me in the last couple of years. Like, since he's been gone again, we've had a few chuckles about the role of a manager in baseball at this point.
Yeah, right. And then from the other side, the executives that do hand down the marching orders, they don't want to admit to it because then they're going to be the one whose feet will be held to the fire.
Right.
Well, why did you pull out your reliever here at this point? Why did you make that change? Why didn't you let this guy hit? Well, they don't want to have to deal with that on an everyday basis. The manager is there to make sure all is well and to be the voice of the franchise twice a day. Remember, they meet with the media before the game and after the game. I don't remember when that started or why it started. It used to just be after the game, but we do it pregame to update everybody on, what happened last night, even though we talked after the game, and to update people on injuries. And then we do it again after the game to give the reaction as to why we made these moves that probably are coming from the front office anyway.
Yeah.
So it does just boggle my mind where we are a little bit with the game.
It is crazy to me, and it just makes me wonder if perhaps an inexperienced manager isn't the person for this spot. But to your point, if it's the right manager, right? Like it's so funny you say everybody wants Buck. The other thing too is how this works with fan bases. Like you just love your guys. And so everybody's screaming for Buck and or Ryan Flaherty, right? Like that's the other guy that Orioles fans are just like, yeah, bring him home. And I'm like, I love Ryan, like great guy. I mean, 10 out of 10 human being. And maybe he is, to the point about Carlos Mendoza. Like maybe he's that guy that is the next great baseball manager, but I just don't know in this spot if that's the profile that you're looking for. That's the only thing I'm struggling with.
Yeah, I think that it's the wrong way for teams to introduce, he's a good Orioles man.
Right.
Like that's, it's the last 25 years haven't been ideal for this once great organization.
Right.
So let's find, how about just the next great manager? Doesn't have to be, you don't have to have ties.
I'm completely with it. Chris, who's responsible for what's happened with Adley Rutschman? How do we talk about it? And at what point is it, like, do we acknowledge this is what Adley Rutschman is? Like, I don't think we're there yet, but I don't know how much further we go. And certainly we see examples of guys who, it was Corbin Carroll was a mess, right? Now he's Corbin Carroll again. I understand that it can change. When does it become like panic to the point of, hey, can he continue to catch? Do you have to get him at first base to just see if you can't fix his bat? At some point, like when do we talk about it like it's really broken? We just don't keep pretending like he's still Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, this is really one of the tougher things in baseball. I can't figure it out because he seemed the perfect prospect, right? I mean, switch hitting, pop, there are so few teams that have an offensive catcher that you were like, man, the Orioles. I remember us having the discussion on Baseball Today, our daily podcast. What would be the offer that gets it done from Adley Rutschman's side? Remember when we were having that discussion,
100%.
a year and a half ago?
100%.
And right now, you can't have it. You just can't have it. And it's such a shame because he's a wonderful kid and wants to be the face of that organization. I think with Gunnar moving forward, although, Gunnar's going to be impossible to sign to an extension. I don't think moving him out from behind the dish is the answer. I just don't. Let him be who he is back there. And, in this game, the more you grind, it's like you're digging your own ditch. And this season feels lost. I know that all the guys were saying on Saturday, hey, we're only a quarter of the way through the season. We're talking about one good month and we're back in this thing. I don't see it. Heck, even if they do put together a good month, it doesn't feel like a World Series team. So let's let him stay behind the plate. Hopefully, he does figure it out over the next couple months and you go from there. And then if it doesn't get any better at the end of this season, then you might have to have some sort of internal discussion about where we go forward from here. What is best for Adley Rutschman and the Baltimore Orioles? Because it's a mind scratcher. I don't get, or a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm screwing up my cliche.
No, bro, we're like it's such a head scratcher that it is a mind scratcher, man. Like
yes, exactly. I'm starting a new term, Clint.
Dude, it's that like bonkers where I keep coming away from it saying like, isn't this Adley Rutschman? Like what is going on here? It's a fun time to be in Baltimore, Chris. It's a really fun time right now. As we're still,
yeah, but at least the Ravens always nail their pick.
Like
guys,
there is that, right? It's the Ravens unfortunately don't matter until January, as you know from our conversations about that. Everybody's
stop.
no, but we all enjoy it, but it's the thing where like, okay, nothing is all that impressive until you tell me how it's going to be different in the playoffs. Like you just can't get this fan base worked up by anything, and they're victims of their own success. Like, great, they beat this team. What are they going to do in the playoffs? And you're like, right, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, see, in Cleveland, we don't have that problem with that narrative.
Right. You got our boy, though.
You
got our boy. You know I love him. I'll never stop loving him.
Yeah, we're just going to keep throwing quarterbacks in that room till one of them sticks.
Hey, bro, one of them's got to work.
I will say this. I called the Browns preseason package on TV. And it's going to be a blast for this August.
Right.
I mean, it is those 3 games that we play. Most people are like, "Oh, just get me through them."
Yeah.
Browns fans are going to be hanging with every throw.
No doubt, man. I know it's going to sound. You and I think you're a couple years older than me. I don't think you're much older than me. I remember the preseason that like Kyle Bowler was a rookie in Baltimore, and it was electric. Like it was, dude. We can't wait to see this guy get into a game. What it's going to look like. And, he turned out to be Kyle Bowler, so it is what it is. But to your point, like, man, one of these guys, tell me one of these guys can play the position. One of them, because it is.
Well, not only did you trade up for Kyle Bowler, if I remember correctly, didn't he have the video, the hype video, where he threw the ball like
from his knees,
60 yards from one knee?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was.
Yeah, he looked the part, the whole bit, man. He was great until Sundays at 1:00.
Yep, 100%. There were like 2 games at the end of one season where he beat the Packers and Vikings in back-to-back weeks, and we were like, nope, it was never meant to be.
Yeah.
Chris, baseball today, of course. I know you. It's already up for everybody to watch. What else can I plug for you, brother?
Well, we used to have the Chris Rose Rotation, which was our interview show. Now we've turned it into a show called Dugout Discussions, which is really fun. We have like a lengthy interview at the ballpark with a player. This week it's Brent Rooker of the, I'm not going to call them Sacramento A's, just the A's.
The A's.
And then we have really kind of fun little segments that we do with teams, baby ball players, where we ask players to identify their teammates as little kids. That is a blast.
That's cool.
And we do a fun thing. I do a segment with my wife called Salary Cap, where we walk around the sports knowledgeable streets of Los Angeles and ask them if they can identify the major league team of the hat she's wearing. It is shocking how ridiculous it is, some of the answers.
I like that a lot. At Chris Rose as well. That's how you follow him. Brother, you're the best. Always appreciate you. Let's talk again real soon. Thanks for hopping on this morning.
You got it, Glenn. Thank you, buddy. Take care.
Chris Rose with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us. And I know what he's saying, that, like, you can't hire a manager based on profile. And that would be the argument against hiring a manager in season. The argument is you get to the end of the season, and then you have the biggest group of candidates you possibly could have. You have guys that maybe are fired this year. You have guys that are coaches on staffs this year that you can't hire in season. I know what he's saying, and he's right. It's not about hiring the right profile. It's about hiring the right manager. At the same time, I think it does require everyone involved. This is my Glenn Clark opinion, that it requires everybody talking to everybody about this and saying, things are going to have to change. We've given too much leeway to Pythagorean model. It still is going to matter. There's not going to be a world where they're going to ignore data. Those of you that find analytics to be a boogeyman, you're going to be disappointed. That world is not coming. The data is going to matter. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. And I do think that requires a manager with a bit more cachet. And Skip Schumacher I'm not even talking about Terry Francona here, right? Like, Skip Schumacher had some mild success. Mild. In Miami for a couple of years. So I don't even know that he's someone that, carries a big stick necessarily. I, of course, carry a big stick.
That's not a stick. That's a shillelagh.
That's what we need. Thou shall not pass. That's what we're gonna need in a manager.
You
need a big stick.
You want to be the manager?
I mean, I'm not gonna say no. It's not gonna go well. But if they're just looking for somebody that can pass along what the advanced team says. My God.
So who's your dream pick?
I can do it. I don't have a dream pick.
Flaherty?
No, it's not Flaherty. The thing is, like, we can scoff at Buck, but like Buck, like, fits the profile other than age, right? Like, he's not the age. It gets a little how old was Tony La Russa when he got hired by the White Sox?
Probably too old.
Well, I know that part, but what was his actual age?
Let's see. He's
Tony La Russa
80.
is 80 and started in 2021, so he was 76.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, he was 76.
Well, he just had his 80th birthday, actually.
So Buck's not that old. Buck's 68, right? And you assume that if you were to hire Buck, you're here for a year or two to try to
win it all, or
with this group, and then if it doesn't work, we're moving on again, right? Like, you understand that he's probably not going to be here until he's 76. The age is the only thing that really is, an X in Buck Showalter's department, and then maybe is there any awkwardness, right? I don't know. The entire situation is different. The owner's gone, although Buck had a good relationship with Peter Angelos. Everything's changed. I don't know if there's anyone involved in the process that there would be awkwardness with the idea of Buck being the manager again. I couldn't tell you. But I also don't know how interested he'd be in it's funny because Buck has come on this show and sort of joked about the role of the manager, and I don't know if Buck would come in. Well, the one thing I would tell you is that Buck, everywhere else in his career, was a serious micromanager. But yet in Baltimore, his reputation was not that. That he didn't need to control quite as many aspects as he needed to control in other places in his career. He fits the profile. Is he the right guy? Does it feel, a lot of people would say you don't want to just keep hiring retread managers. I don't know that. I don't really care about the retread part at this point. To me, the priority is cachet, someone who can step in and say, I can both use the data to my advantage, but also be respected enough to say there are times where I'm not going to. And that's where I do think he might fit. Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson will be getting together a little bit later on today to talk more about the Orioles post Brandon Hyde, where they're at, what it means, who's next, all of those questions. 6 o'clock, live at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it, you can watch it at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan the Fan, former Oriole Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson talking baseball with you. 6 o'clock tonight, brought to you by the Costas Inn. So we've been talking a lot, obviously, about the Orioles and the firing of Brandon Hyde this morning. That's not all that happened this weekend. Preakness was exhilarating. Griffin and I were together for Preakness, and we were jaws just on the floor as the race was over. And then all of a sudden, here comes the favorite. Journalism with one of the most incredible stretch runs we've ever seen in the history of the Preakness to win the second leg of the Triple Crown. Joining us now here on GCR to tell us more about his horse and that performance, he is Trainer Michael McCarthy, who is back with us now here on GCR. Michael, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. I imagine you're still riding a high. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
When that was unfolding on the stretch, did you know, like, he still has it in him? Or just given how crowded it was and how much of a mess it was, had you already started to make peace with, oh my gosh, we're not gonna get it again?
That's kind of exactly how I was feeling. I thought it's a shame that this horse is going to put up another effort like he did in the Kentucky Derby and have nothing to show for it. But that last eighth of a mile when he was able to shake free and get some running room was mind-blowing, the acceleration that he showed.
I assume like, this is how good this horse is. There's a reason why we all love this horse going into the Derby. There's a reason, like, you knew in that way. Were you not all that shocked? Like, the way the rest of us were just, amazed. Once he got clear, did you find yourself saying, oh, no, he's got this?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, good horses overcome a lot of things, but what you saw the other day does not happen every day in racing. It takes a tremendous athlete and a tremendous effort to overcome that kind of stuff. So while I thought once he did get free that he would come on and finish up nicely, winning was farthest from my mind because A, I was worried about horse and rider and all horses and all riders.
Mm-hmm.
But B, I just thought it was just too much to overcome.
Can you tell me a little bit about Umberto and what you learned maybe about him in that moment, Michael?
Yeah, that was a very brave decision that he made to kind of stay there in that pocket behind horses, force his way through there. Thankfully, the horse is willing to respond to whatever Umberto had asked of him. So they're a good team together. I think what you saw there the other day was something that not many horses, not many riders would be capable of pulling off.
Nah, it was breathtaking, man. It was so cool. Michael McCarthy, the trainer of journalism, is with us here on GCR. Michael, I know a lot has been made about the trials and tribulations that you have faced personally this year and your community in Altadena, and I saw post-race some of those emotions kind of coming out for you as you reflect now on everything that this horse have been through. How meaningful was it to get a win like this?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously, Southern California's been through a lot here the last 4 months, 5 months, what have you. We know a lot of people have been directly affected by this stuff. We know people that have lost their homes, people that have lost, the only place they've ever known. So not only in Altadena, Pacific Palisades, all these things. And just kind of what's transpired in the meantime. Obviously, difficult to deal with insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on in the city of Altadena that's beyond our control now. There's, there's the cleanup process, the staging process, the destruction of what's left of some of these, parcels of land and where all of this debris goes. And it happens to be going right smack in the middle of Altadena, where there's a staging site, where there's a lot of concrete crushing, batteries are being disposed, walls of older homes, which obviously contain asbestos and stuff like that. So that stuff's getting in the air. It's affecting the area. There's toxicity abounds. Look, that's a story for another day. But hopefully these people were able to watch this on Saturday, get a little joy out of it. We know we certainly enjoyed delivering it to them. So a horse race is one thing, your lives, your livelihood, and your health. They put a lot of perspective into things here the last few months. And when the horse was beaten in the Kentucky Derby, I was upset, but you know what? I was going to get a chance at him again. So we got that chance on Saturday.
Man, it's powerful. To your point, right? Like, obviously, a horse winning a race can't fix any of those things that you talk about. And our thoughts continue to be with that community. But just something positive, just something good to feel good about. That is a special, special thing. You reference, obviously, the Derby to now. One of the big storylines this week was the horses that weren't running in this race. Michael, why did you know that your horse could do this, that turnaround wouldn't impact you? And do you feel like that, when other people push back and say, hey, it's time to change, that maybe this is an example that we don't need to change the timing of these races?
I think the Triple Crown is fine the way it is. It's meant to be difficult. It is, as we call it, the test of a champion. It's 3 races in 5 weeks. 1.25 miles, mile and 3/16, and obviously the Belmont is 1.5 miles. This year, with the Belmont being run at Saratoga, while Belmont Park on Long Island is under construction, the race will be shortened to 1.25 miles, same distance as the Kentucky Derby. Now it'll have a lot of the same contenders. No one will be missing the race because it's been shortened from 1.5 miles to 1.25 miles. But the logistics are different. You'll still get a little bit of kind of cooler weather up in Saratoga. You may get some elements, some rain, and that type of thing. But still a very prestigious race in its own right. And I think, for a horse to be able to compete in all 3 of them, it takes a special talent. For a horse to win 1 of them is a big deal. For a horse to win 3, they're legends.
Yep. Oh, they're correct. We write books about them. We tell our kids about them for forever. But
exactly.
I appreciate what you're saying, that it is supposed to be hard, right? Like, it's not supposed to be easy to win a Triple Crown. So I appreciate exactly what you're saying about it. You bring up the Belmont, obviously. Now it's all everybody can talk about. Are you particularly excited about the possibility of another showdown with Sovereignty in 3 weeks?
Yeah, we take these things on a race-by-race basis.
Yeah.
From the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness, journalism seemed like he had the same sort of energy and the same sort of enthusiasm in his training that he had before the Kentucky Derby. He'll go back to the racetrack in the next day or 2 at Saratoga. He'll make his way up there. And we'll just kind of monitor how he's doing. Is he eating well? Is he acting well? Is he acclimating to his surroundings? And all these kind of things, we spend a lot of time around these horses, and you get a very good feel for where they're at, even sometimes just by the way they're standing in their stall. To be able to go ahead and have another crack at Sovereignty would be a huge deal, not for me, but I think for racing.
Yep.
It would give people, the chance at another, it'd be I'm not going to say it. I guess it would be a showdown of sorts, but there was never really any rivalry or anything like that beforehand. We obviously losing to the Connections was certainly no disgrace. Bill Mott, one of the greatest trainers of the last century, Hall of Famer, won every race under the sun, trained Cigar, trained Cody's Wish, and the list goes on and on. So Sheikh Mohammed, basically responsible for racing all over the world in the last 45 years, 50 years, has owned tens of thousands of horses, has tried winning the Kentucky Derby every way you could imagine, whether it was breeding racehorses, buying racehorses, training them in Dubai and sending them to America to compete. He's tried it every way under the sun. So for him to finally get a victory in the Kentucky Derby after 45 years, there's no shame in us getting beaten by him. So we would welcome the opportunity. Hopefully journalism and Sovereignty are doing the best they could possibly be doing on Belmont Day, and we see who's best.
It'd be great for everybody. There's no doubt. And if I could just wrap with this, Michael, your greatest triumph as a trainer had come at Pimlico, right, a few years back. Did it register with you at all, like that this is the final race at the old place, and you were the one that won it? Did that do anything for you? Were there any emotions for you about that?
It was strange. I just left there a short while ago. There's only a handful of horses left over in the stakes barn. So to be one of the last horses to leave out of the stakes barn, the last Preakness runner to be run at the original Pimlico race course, went over and took a look at the lawn jockey with the silks that journalism carried about Broadwood Farms, took a picture there. Didn't get a chance to walk out onto the racetrack or anything like that, but to be fortunate enough to win 2 Preaknesses in the last 5 years is certainly a big deal for us. It's something we don't take for granted.
Well, we will look forward to having you at Laurel, but then back here at the new Pimlico years from now. And before that, we'll look forward to hopefully a really cool. I know it won't technically be a match race, but hopefully there will be the two of you running in that race, and what it would do for the sport would be amazing. Michael McCarthy, congratulations. One of the most breathtaking performances we've ever seen in a Preakness, and it was just awesome to watch. Happy for you and for everybody connected to journalism. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, too. Don't thank me. Thank journalism.
Yeah, hell of a horse, man. Really incredible. Thank you, Michael. Michael McCarthy, trainer of journalism, and seriously, like, even if you don't a lot of us, we do the bit where we pretend to be into horse racing a couple times a year. Some people don't even bother to do that. Like, they watch, but they're not even pretending. It's why being at Sports and Social was the perfect place for this. Because what happens on day of a race is that, like, I get there at 5:30, and it's like a slow, trickling crowd in, right? Because it's a 3-minute horse race. Like, you're not... So at like 6:30, 6:45, all of a sudden I look around and I'm like, oh, crap, it's packed. Like, because people just want to watch the race. And they don't know anything about horse racing. The gasps that you heard in that place when we started to see the move that journalism was making from people that are not horse racing people. Like, they're just there to... Yeah, correct. Griffin and I actually, ironically, had money on the same wrong horses.
Yeah.
We found that out. I'm like, yeah, I put a little money on American Promise. He goes, so did I. And a little bit of money on Goal Oriented. So did I. So we both lit some money on fire on Saturday. It's okay. It goes that way sometimes. But we both, like, when you, holy crap, man. Like, you've seen a lot of things in horse racing. But pinned in, nowhere to go, done. Race is over. And to the point, as Michael McCarthy brought up, even when he finally got free,
it was
still
had so much ground to make up.
Was going to take a miracle to make it up. Because there was so much hooting and hollering, I didn't really get to, like, listen to Larry Kalmus's call the way that I wanted to. I went back Saturday night. My God. Larry Kalmus is...
Do we want it, or?
Do you have it?
Give me, like...
If you can give me just the end of it. You want somebody who's good at what they do. Like, Larry Kalmus at calling horse racing is as good at what he does as almost anyone in any profession.
Got the final 40 seconds.
All right, that should be right.
He's got a lot of ground to cover. He is still 5 lengths behind as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. Gosker trying to pull off a huge upset here. Has taken the lead on the outside. Clever again cuts the corner. Journalism is getting closer now. He's behind a wall of horses. He's looking for a place to go, and he's got nowhere to go. Oh, he bumped hard with goal-oriented. In the meanwhile, Gosker's running the race of his life, and Sandman has entered the scene, and he has moved up on the far outside. Journalism is still running on. He's back into second. He might even win it. Here's the wire. Oh, my goodness. Journalism has won the Preakness Stakes in a performance like you read about.
Dude. I mean, come on. What I wouldn't give to have that talent. That's a call, man. And he nailed every element of it, right? Like everything. We always talk a lot about, it happens to me all the time in lacrosse where I'm ball watching when I'm calling a game and something happens away from the ball and I'm like, I got no idea. But he is watching Gosker in front, but seeing every element of what's going on with journalism, tangled up with two other horses and getting pinched in and then boldly splitting through and getting out of trouble. And he starts seeing the pace and he's like, oh, he might win. Like, he might win. Oh, that's a call. Larry Colmus is so good at this, dude. He's so good at this. What I wouldn't give to have a skill like that. But great race. And, yeah, for the sake of the sport, you really hope that both horses are able to run in the Belmont in a couple weeks. That would be very, very good news. And Michael McCarthy pushes back on what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And says,
I mean, it's a good argument. Like, it is.
It's the thing that I had.
It's an okay argument, I guess.
I had defaulted to that for years. Randy Moss really sold me on.
I mean, like,
we want better fields in these races. And whether it's the right thing to do or not, it's what they're doing. There are fewer Michael McCarthys and more of all the other trainers. And as he pointed out, it wasn't just Bill Mott. There were going to be lots of other trainers that were going to say, no, we're not running our horses in 2 weeks. So I am defaulting to that argument, right? But I appreciate Michael McCarthy still being the one to say, like, no, it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be very difficult to do this. And he's right. He's right. It is supposed to be. I just, for the health of the sport, for the health of the races, and for what we care about locally, you want to have the Kentucky Derby winner in Baltimore, plain and simple. Come back in, talk to Jeremy Conn about Brandon Hyde, talk about the NBA playoffs, as where the conference finals are now set, and God knows what else. I finally watched Thunderbolts this weekend. Finally got to see it on Saturday. Thundergers. Well. Yeah, I know. You don't love that.
I watched The Brutalist. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You know what else I watched for the on?
Make sure you like reserve half your day. But
okay, how long is it?
It is 3:09. I want to say.
I watched. I finally watched Novocaine.
Okay.
This weekend.
I did not watch
It's
Novocaine.
Streaming on Paramount Plus. I found out.
Okay.
Novocaine's fun. It's a fun movie, man. It's got some continuity issues, but like that's in a movie when it's a fun movie. You'll live with all that other stuff.
Right.
Like you'll live with the nonsense. Novocaine's fun as hell. I don't think we gave it enough.
God, my sister saw it, which is weird because typically my sister like only sees movies with me, but so she ended up seeing it without me, and she was like I loved it.
It was it really was fun, a fun film, man. Like bloody and fun for like that type of movie. God, it was a fun movie. It was sort of like Nobody in that way, right? Like. Just a good time. I really enjoyed Novocaine. I hope there's going to be a few more of those because it's a good time. Anyway, I don't know how I got there. Oh, right, Jeremy Conn. Coming up next, Glenn Clark Radio.
Discover luxury without limits at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. This April, unlock a world of high-fashion delights and exclusive style. Earn entries daily starting April 1st and join our drawing on Friday, April 25th. 19 will win up to $2,000 in cash and free play. And one grand prize winner will take home a curated Versace homeware collection. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Today's show also brought to you by Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills. I am starting peptide treatments. Tonight, in fact, is night one of peptide treatments. And looking forward to, I'll give you an example. Last night, John Proctor, myself, our buddy Mark, we got together. We played some tennis. And it wasn't, high-level tennis. It was just three old fat guys running around playing tennis. And today, I woke up and I felt like Jameis Winston. They said, where's the pain? And I said, the pain is everywhere. Everywhere. Because I'm in my 40s now. And that's just the way that it works. I don't recover quite the same way. So, starting peptide treatment from Game Day Men's Health in Owings Mills, and looking forward to feeling quicker recovery, just overall improvement in sleep, and feeling more like the man that I was 10 to 15 years ago. And they've got you covered. All the things we don't like talking about as men, all the stuff that we struggle with. Yeah, how much more difficult it is to lose weight in your 40s than it was in your 20s or your 30s. Perhaps you're not comfortable talking about performance issues in the bedroom. That's a real thing that guys our age go through. That guys sometimes younger than us go through. And also, we don't really love just talking about the fact that we don't feel like ourselves. We don't feel like men. And that's okay. This is a safe space to go talk about those issues. And you can set your appointment right now for a consultation at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. And just stop in and see them. And maybe you're dealing with low T. If you're dealing with ED, whatever it is that you're dealing with, they've got you covered. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They help men reclaim their game. All right, joining us now here on GCR, a man that I happen to know from personal experience has no performance issues in the bedroom. What? I mean, sometimes I watch. Is Jeremy Conn. Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan. He's with us here on GCR. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
What's up, man? I don't know. I guess you didn't hit my wiener worked good.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it's funny though. Like all this stuff. I remember starting to do these commercials, and they would always say, if they got a sponsorship, it was like, hey, just get Jeremy to read it. He'll read it. And I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's endorsing every, herpes cream or cure or whatever the hell it is, and everything that has something to do negatively.
Wait a second. Now that's not, because then why do you text me about which ones work? I don't understand. Why?
Because I mean, once you get in, you want to learn it. Like you're trying to make money, you know. So, but no, like what you talked about just now is so true of just about men. Like it's
dude.
Like people are afraid to talk about anything sexual if you're having issues there. Anything like I mean, I talk about depression all the time since I'm going right through it, and it's I mean, it's not fun to talk about, but like there's more people to listen now.
And sometimes it's harder to
stigmas are going away.
It is harder to quantify. Like when I went over there, I legitimately, this is a straight shoot, Jeremy. When like they reached out, I really thought that I might be low T. Legitimately, I genuinely thought that, just because, you know, like once you're like, why do I feel like this? I didn't feel like this 3 years ago. I didn't feel like this 4 years ago. Right? Like what's going on here? And you're convinced there's something wrong with you. It turns out I'm not low T, but they're like, dude, this is how aging works. Like, welcome to your 40s. This is the way that it goes, and it's okay. It's normal, but. You know, I'm looking. I would like to not. I literally just went and hit some tennis balls around with some friends last night, and I hurt everywhere. Everything hurts. Everything. All I did was hit some tennis balls around. It was not high level, and I'm like, I would like to not feel that way moving forward.
Can I tell you how bad it is for me? Like my wife does most of the work around the house, and when I say work, I actually mean like all the work. So like mowing
so this
the grass
is it's like the Nate Bargatze thing, right? Where
she does everything.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to be like more helpful around the house and doing more to just alleviate some of the stress. I mean, sometimes you get complacent and you're like, oh yeah, this is great. She's doing everything. And you're like, well, wait a minute, I should help. The issue that I have is like anything or most things that are like work related around the house. Like I can't bend anymore. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just mow the lawn. I can do that. I can push a lawnmower. Dude, I got out front. I had to stop 4 times because my back gave out. And I finished, but I was supposed to do the whole yard. So she ended up doing the back. It's just like everything's defeating now.
Yeah, yeah, that's the way I feel, man. That is the way that I feel. All right, let's talk about it. I don't know where you are. I know you were not someone that was clamoring for Brandon Hyde to be fired.
I thought you were talking about journalism. I do think that journalism shouldn't have won. But anyway, no, go ahead.
Oh, you're
I'm kidding.
You're anti-journalist.
But
Jeremy was screaming from the back of the room, "Come on, propaganda! Let's go, propaganda!" And they're all like, "No, but there isn't a horse in the race named Propaganda."
Journalism's dead. The horse? No,
yeah, right?
That's what journalism.
No, I don't know, man. Yeah. Like, as I said a couple of times this morning, I don't think this is Brandon Hyde's fault, but I just think this is the way the baseball works. When a team has underperformed for a consistent period of time, and going back to last June, that's been the case here, the manager tends to be the first one to go, and that's just the way that it works to me.
I mean, this is we talked about it ad nauseum this morning, where it's like, okay, do I think it's Brandon Hyde's fault? No, but I mean, there's you can give some of the blame to anybody you want to here. There's a big pie chart, and he's getting a slice of that pie, no matter how small you think the slice is, but it's clearly not his fault of what's going on. And then, you know, I've been one of those guys that's more in the line of, like, I think injuries are a huge problem. They didn't have a great offseason. I didn't have issues with some of the things they did in the offseason, but, like, realistically, when I start arguing with people about who they should have signed, like the Corbin Burns thing wasn't happening. Blake Snell, no, he got overpaid and he's hurt now. The contract that Max Fried got, he looks amazing right now. Talk to me in a year or two and see how things are going, because he's been hurt the past 3 years. But when it comes to Nick Pivetta and Nathan Eovaldi, I don't know why. Maybe they did kick the tires on them, but I didn't hear much about it. Yeah. Those are two guys that made so much more sense than even giving Charlie Morton what they gave him. And they overpaid for Charlie Morton because I think that cat was going to retire.
Well, Jeremy, I know exactly what you're saying, and I do think that that's the Mike Elias philosophy. Like, the Mike Elias philosophy to me is, I have this Pythagorean model, and we have said exactly what a player's value is, and we're not going to sign players that don't fit into that value.
100%, I agree with that, yes.
The problem is, like, that the rest of baseball isn't doing that. And this is the situation you end up finding yourself in, where I hear you that it might be that ultimately the Max Fried contract looks bad, but it kind of requires you to be willing to give away bad money, or else you're not going to get players.
Yeah, but for these teams that can't, like, again, if you can't spend like the big dogs, you can't be those teams that are constantly acquiring bad contracts, because what happens is you go through all, like, for example, if I gave you Arizona, now Arizona's back and good again, but when they signed Mad Bum, those are some of the worst years those Diamondbacks had.
Sure.
You know, chasing a dream with this guy that was toast, you know, like, and they've done it before with Zach Greinke when he got signed. And you're going, wait a minute, these guys are throwing like terrible contracts. You either have the big teams or the big spenders going out and being able to overpay, which is fine, or you have these other teams that try to keep up with the Joneses and then they overpay for bad players. And I get it, but at some point, I mean, you're going to have to bite the bullet. If the market says this is what it is, that's what it is.
I think to me the point would be like you knew this was coming. The era of you didn't spend money for years, and I get it. It's more complicated than that because of ownership, right? But the point of doing that is to say, hey, right now it would be insane for us to be spending money that could end up being bad on baseball players. We're not a baseball player away. We're not 2 or 3 baseball players away. We can't do these types of things. But the idea to me is that you don't do that for years because you recognize that there's going to be a period where now it makes sense. Now we know we have the foundation. We have to spend recklessly a little bit. We've got to be able to fortify that. And that to me is the disappointing part about all of this is that like this I don't want it to come off as groupthink, but like this really was the moment. Like this was the time. If you're ever going to spend beyond what it is that you think you should be spending, it's right now where you have a group of baseball players that you think provide a pretty good foundation.
Yeah, but I mean, if you only have one chance, one moment, you're not going to miss your chance.
Right. You got the mom spaghetti, the whole thing. I understand. Yeah, correct.
Well, I think so. Like when I was talking to Bordick this morning, I get angry at people, like a bunch of the older baseball players, when they talk about analytics is stupid and I hate analytics. Well, I get into this thing all the time. Analytics is just information. You use it how you see fit.
Yep.
Bordy said the thing that I think is most appropriate when he said that the Orioles are too analytical. Now, you can be 100% that. Like if you're just going to go by the book every time and the percentages of what the math says, I get it, but it doesn't always mean it's going to work out, And I think they had a model that they were going to use if Angelos was the owner, or the Angeloses if were the owner. And then now with Rubenstein willing to spend money, like I feel like they kind of got caught in that mixture and they weren't willing to spend it. Like they didn't want to go longer on those contracts. Like I feel like if you want to be critical of him, I think he's set in stone and maybe he adjusts with how he is monetarily and obviously with the contract and not wanting to have dead money with players.
I think that's been the case, and I think it'll be interesting now moving forward because I don't think the first thought from ownership is to fire Mike Elias. I don't think that's the case no matter what fans think. But I do think they're going to have a conversation about, hey, we might need to change the thought process here, right?
The business model.
Exactly right. Like what you thought was best, either because of hubris or, again, just because you believe that you have the correct answer based on all of the math that you've done about what a player's value is, we've got to reconsider what that value might be for us. And I think that might have to be the next step in the process. I am interested, too, to the point, Jeremy, I remember we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Everybody clung to Mike Elias saying, well, I don't set the lineups. But then immediately the next thing he said was, our front office produces information that helps Brandon and the advanced team that works with Brandon to choose the lineups. Like I've never seen anything like, well, I don't set the lineups, but I set the lineups.
The thing to look for is, do we see the same lineups moving forward? Because if that's going on consistently, then I think you understand what's coming down from the front office.
And I think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to be confused and we're going to scratch our heads about some lineups. But I think that to me, it's why, as much as like people have romantic feelings about the idea of like let's bring back Ryan Flaherty to be the next manager, I do think that this requires, if Mike Elias is still going to be here, I think this requires a manager with a little more cachet to both be capable of saying, hey, I'm not ignoring the data, to your point. I hate when we treat analytics like a boogeyman. Like it's just information. It's just data. We all use it. I'm going to appreciate what you're giving me, but sometimes I'm going to choose to do something else, and you're going to respect me because of who I am to allow me to do that.
Can I give you there's a couple things here. So one of the examples with that, I would go the football route. And there are times where we're watching the game and the analytics tell you should go for it or go for two, right? Like either go for the fourth down or go for two. You can't tell me there's not times watching the game. And this is for me, like I'm super analytical when it comes to things. I love the numbers. I love seeing if there's an edge to be had somewhere. And I think that comes somewhere into the gambling stuff. But in football, there are times where I'm going, man, I'd kick the field goal here and make it a 2-score game, no matter what the percentages are telling me I'm likely to get it, just because that's smarter. Like those things do matter. And I think in a baseball sense, it's kind of funny to look at some of the mistakes they've made, because like you really do have to start thinking about what you're going to do. I mean, I don't know if you've thought this out of, okay, let's say the team sucks. Who gets moved out? Are you trading pieces away? Because the rumor is that Zach Eflin is a Florida guy. He wants to go back to Florida.
You absolutely are going to have to start. There's no doubt that
it's so the pieces that they would move that I think could possibly move, like O'Hearn is one, believe it or not. I don't know that you get much for him, but you got a left-handed guy off the bench that can rake against right-handed pitching. And then on top of it, then you start to look at some of the pitchers. Do you move those guys out? If you move them out, now you got to effing replace them, man. So if you're going to, then now you got to go back and spend more money in the offseason. And then we have to see how healthy they are. What is Grayson going to need? Tommy John? I mean, they're saying July or June or whatever he could be back, but is that legit? I don't know. And then the other thing that I brought up this morning, which I think people should think about, let's say they do fire Elias. I'm not saying Rubenstein's a bad, business guy. He's made a lot of money, but he's never run a baseball team before, so he's got a year knowledge to kind of figure out who he wants to hire now to be the guy. I don't know, man. I just worry about what everybody's screaming, fire this guy, fire that guy. We don't know what would be coming in after the fact, but this season just sucks. There's no other way to describe it.
There's no getting around that. To the point, I don't think that the plan is going to be to fire Mike Elias. I think the plan is going to be, hey, we need to have an organizational sit-down and a powwow and a come to Jesus. I understand exactly what you're saying, is that like these are inexperienced people, but they are successful in business and no doubt have the ear of lots of people who have been successful in baseball because of that. But I don't think the priority is just to fire Mike Elias. Like, based on how much deference they showed him in their first year of running the team, I would be stunned by it to immediately pivot to that. But it can't continue to be like this. Like, that won't work, or else you're going to end up...
This weekend was awful.
Oh, my God, dude. I mean, it's just unwatchable.
Hold on. I went and said, they fired Hyde. Let's see how they come up fired up, because this whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, take the over in both games. It was some of the best hitting conditions you could ever have.
Right, the wind was blowing, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hot. So first off, it's warm after the rain, so the humidity's up. The wind was blowing out at like 20 miles an hour yesterday. And I'm so excited to watch the game. I'm like, let's watch these bats go off now. You fired somebody, they're fired up. And I'm like looking at Kyle Gibson going, oh, no. And then Eflin wasn't any better on Sunday,
Awful, man. Just dreadful. It's funny. The one thing I said about the trade deadline a couple times today, and I'll end the Orioles conversation with this, and maybe for the rest of the year. But as much as they're going to have to sell those pieces at the deadline, I still think they should be in the market to acquire. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying to acquire pieces. In no world should they be requiring a rental at the deadline. Obviously, they're not good, and they're not likely to be good at that point. But they don't have pitching moving forward. Like,
that's my point. Yeah.
They have problems. And while, yes, it's easy to say, hey, you're better off addressing that in the offseason than you are at the deadline, perhaps. But I'm still inclined to be looking at the deadline for players that you have potential control for, because you are a ways away. And this thing that, like, when we watch Kyle Stowers expire in Baltimore, and none of us were even furious when they traded Kyle Stowers, right? Like, it's very obviously uncomfortable watching what he's doing in Miami, but, like, we weren't angry about it. We got it. We understood.
Norby was 130 when he got called up.
Yeah.
Like, he hit one. He didn't do anything at the major league level. He hit home runs at the minor league level. I don't know if what he's doing is sustainable, and I don't want to be the a-hole that roots against him so I can be right that the trade wasn't that big of a deal. But he was never going to play here. Like, never. He was blocked by all those guys, and he's a 26-year-old. Now he's 27, minor league.
And somebody can argue, hey, if Cowser gets hurt this year, wouldn't he have been the more logical choice? Fine, we can do that forever. But the problem really is the thing that we keep talking about, where prospects start to expire. And the fact that the team isn't good this year should not be the argument for continuing to hold on to players. We're all asking ourselves the same questions now about Heston Kjerstad. We're asking ourselves the same questions about Kobe Mayo, and they've got plenty of time to change that. I'm not declaring them to be dead as valuable assets to the Baltimore Orioles, but it can't just be, well, we're not good right now, so we just got to keep holding on to these guys, and them getting a day closer and a day closer to us saying, well, they've expired, you might as well throw them away in a trade at this point. Like, you do still need to do the right things with the assets that you have and either commit to them, and I would think that would be the plan for Kobe Mayo at some point this season, that they're just going to say, the hell with it, you're playing every day. That's the way it's going to go because you're not very good, or use them as assets to go get controlled pitching for the next couple of years.
So, and this is the other thing, too, is like the only bright spot in this Orioles season so far is it looks like Jackson Holliday's starting to figure it out.
Yep.
And this is where I go to all the people that were like, trade Jackson, trade Kobe, I don't care, trade any of them, and go get this, or go get some name you know. Like, and then you watch Jackson go, whatever it was, stink it up last year in the beginning, and then stink it up a little bit towards the end, and then hit some. He ran into some home runs. And then this year you see kind of like, oh, that guy should be batting at the top of the lineup. He is special. And I think this stuff continues. But, you know, with Kobe Mayo, there are people like, oh, he went 0 for 30. I'm like, that's the sample size you want to base a guy's career off of? The fact that he went 0 for – Roy Halladay had a 6-run ERA in his first 2 seasons.
Yep.
Like, really? You know, so there are certain things that – like, baseball is such a weird sport, and you're 100% right in what you're talking about. I didn't even think about, okay, what does the rotation look like next year if you move Eflin? Who's in your rotation? I guess you still have Sagano. I don't know what Kramer's
Sagano wasn't Sagano 1 year?
Was it a 1 year
Sagano
deal?
was a 1 year deal. Yeah.
Well, so here he's out now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have what? Chase McDermott, Kyle Bradish, who just came off of an injury.
Povich. Yeah, right. Like,
Cade Povich, and then what? Like, what are we looking at? That's 2 young players in your rotation. with a guy coming
obviously,
off an injury.
Grayson is in that conversation too. But yes, to the point.
Well, can he be? Because
I get it. He's constantly
his
hurt.
injury looks to me like what happened with Garrett Cole.
I know.
So I don't know if he's going to be here. I think he's going to have to have Tommy John at some point.
Yep.
So. Yeah, it's just my opinion. I don't have the inside information, so I don't want people.
No, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Similar.
I completely get it. It's what we talked about with Kyle Bradish a year ago, right? Like, it's 100% the same conversation.
That's why I think what you said of trading for an arm at this deadline, even as bad as the team is, makes a ton of sense. He's obviously got to have control.
Yep.
But hey.
And by the way, can you buy low on a Sandy Alcantara, right? Like something like that. I get it.
Now,
I get it, right? But somebody's got to pitch next year. And by the way, that might be the perfect time to do something because you have the second half of the season to see if it can't change. But that's a conversation we can have in July. I'm going to skip ahead to this one. I remember when Hugh Hefner died. And I know there's some things. Hugh Hefner might not have been a good guy.
Your
right?
hero?
Like,
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny you say that, Griffin, because I had this moment where I was like, I realized Playboy's not going to mean anything to my kids, right? Like, it's not going to mean a thing to them. Whereas for you and I, growing up, Playboy was everything, right? Like, the first time we found one of our dad's Playboys, it was just like a moment that changed our lives. I'm mesmerized by how the SI swimsuit issue has sustained somehow.
Yeah.
And it's maybe
that's interesting.
It's not the issue itself. Like, I don't know that people still get like, do they even make a magazine? I don't even know. But like I
think they do, but most of the stuff's just online, right?
Right. And every year we get to this time of year where they start putting the content out again, and we're like, oh right, this is still a thing in our lives. Did you have one that was like yours? Like that when you were growing up, was there a particular? Do you like vivid memories of a particular cover that? You kept under your bed or something like that.
Of Sports Illustrated?
Of the SI swimsuit.
Or
issue.
Playboy?
Yeah, either one. I'll give you that too.
Or Playgirl?
Yeah.
No. So it was always for me as a kid. I thought Kathy Ireland was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. So picking either one of the covers that she's on, and then she was in the football movie?
Unnecessary Roughness.
I always get the program in Unnecessary Roughness. One of them has Scott Bakula. Anyway,
I think it's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, when it comes down to it, like that was something I always had. I remember the whole stand-up, like people that had the stand-up, I don't call it a figurine, or like pop-up cardboard thing of her, the cutouts.
Oh, yes.
And
I had a Cindy Crawford one. I did.
Yeah, I was just upset that the magazines weren't scratch and sniff. Did you know that? Jesus. Oh, sorry. I was speaking out loud. No, but like when you looked at the magazines that were coming in, that was kind of a big deal because you didn't have social media. You
Right.
didn't have all these things.
Right. It's
now,
so
like,
hard.
It's just we're oversaturated.
I think about the one cover that Tyra Banks did by herself of the SI swimsuit issue. Yeah. That what you just said there is exactly how I think about it every time it comes. It came up at trivia a couple weeks ago. They were asking about like the first African American woman to be, and I was like, I can see Tyra Banks right now and what that did for me in my life. That was a moment.
Was that the right answer? Because
I believe it was Naomi Campbell, if I remember correctly. Was actually correct.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Tyra Banks. I think we took the easy way out. It was like a 2-part answer where it was like there were 2 people on the cover, and one of them was the first African American woman, the other was some other model. And so we just guessed Tyra and Naomi Campbell to cover our butts because we could not think of. And as it turns out, I'll never know who the other person was. It's a model I had never heard of. But by the way, I was just introduced to a new, apparently in this year's SI swimsuit issue, someone named Penny Lane, and it's apparently actually her name.
I already looked up Penny Lane.
I don't know how do they keep doing it? How has this continued to work? It blows my mind.
It's insane. So I'm going to tell a really embarrassing story. Like, it's insane how people look today. Like, we were just talking about, like, all right, so we're injecting all the food now with different things. Is that why we're bigger, stronger, faster today? Are we just evolving into that? I mean, we have a 7'6" guy in the NBA that shoots threes and is a freak of nature.
All of them
running up and down the floor.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you get what I'm saying. And I feel like the things have happened with women too. Because I remember when I was in middle school, girls in middle school looked like girls in middle school, not girls in high school. And the girls in high school didn't look like, they were in college. And the weird thing now today,
I know where you're about to go with this. Maybe we should detour. No, I don't know where we're going.
No, I'm not. No, I don't want to detour. Let's get into it. No, the point is, like, back when I was in my early 20s, I remember like stopping at a red light while I was delivering pizzas, and this girl walks right across the street, and I'm like, Jesus, where did that come from? And then I looked over and I realized Middle River Middle School had just let out.
No.
Oh my God, yeah. But like, I got half her number. I didn't get the whole thing. No, but the point is, like, honestly, when you look at those things and you're seeing how much, I hate to say that we're evolving, but I mean, everything looks, it's just different today than it was when we were younger.
I'm good with saying different. We can leave it at that.
No, like, you get what I'm saying. It seems like kids are maturing at earlier ages, like physically, but not mentally.
There's some stories that I was going to tell, and then I'm realizing it's probably best to leave it all alone.
Yeah.
Best to just leave it all alone and not go there.
We're going to ask you not to do that.
Oh my God, man! I remember being 21 and finding out that I was at a party in College Park, and I apparently met a young lady, and she was telling me about her birthday, and she was about to turn 18, and I said, "Did I just commit a crime? Like, did I just what? Do I get arrested now? Like, how does this work?" And it was, I swear to God, I called Ed. I called Ed. I had just started working with him. I called Ed. I said, "Dude, I'm a little bit worried. Can you tell me what happens now?" And he said, "You're fine. That's not illegal. Yeah. Like, that's not the way that it works." He taught me the whole lesson. And then I remember having a moment afterwards where I was like, I think that he knows that because he was a cop. I think that's the reason.
Well, and the fun, like, even in what I'm saying, like, I know it's something that people don't want to talk about, but like, I'm not saying, hey, I'm attracted to younger girls or anything like that. And you can isolate that and save that if you want.
Let's make sure.
But like the point is, like, I had a buddy and his daughter is just beautiful and she matured way too soon. And you can just look at him and go, damn, bro, you got your hands full, because it's not me you have to worry about. It's the other people out there you got to worry about.
That's why Jeremy, in fact, actually is going to play the role. He's going to be the one to accompany all of your, like, if you have a daughter that's in high school, Jeremy will be a chaperone to the prom.
Yeah, you know how quickly I'd wind up looking like Woody Allen?
He's signing up for that. He's saying he will go along, he will watch, and if they don't leave room for God, he's going to step right in, and he's going to say, not okay. You got to back up 6 inches right now. That's the way it's
my initials are JC too.
That's true.
So.
You have a lot of similarities. Anyway. I don't know what just happened here, but
We went off on
We really did.
Something else.
I just want to talk about the SI swimsuit issue. I just want to talk about Penny Lane. That's all I want.
You didn't want to talk about underage girls?
Nah,
No?
that's not where I was going with that.
Didn't work.
That wasn't where I was headed.
But I
with
hope
that
my
conversation.
point came across the right way, and I'm pretty sure it probably did.
I think we're gonna go ahead and not clip any of that. Is the way it's gonna go.
Clip it
we're
all.
just gonna make
Put
sure
me on
we
the-
don't
Put me on Reddit.
clip any of what just happened there. I think that's gonna be the case. Are you still on the Thunder? I assume.
Yeah, I think they win it all. I'll tell you this much: I'm pulling for the Knicks, though. And I said this before: I've never pulled for a New York team in my entire. Well, it's not true.
yeah.
I pulled for the Giants against the Patriots.
Okay, I probably
pulled
did
for
that
the
too.
Giants against
You're
the Pats.
not going to get me to say that I'm pulling for the Knicks. I can't do that. But what I will say, and by the way, it depends on if the Knicks are playing the Lakers or something like that. Nah, I still don't know how I'd feel about it.
Well, the good thing is you get new blood either way.
What did you make of all of the pushback for the over-the-top celebration on Friday night?
Are you talking about from?
Yeah, so the Knicks fans went crazy like they had won the championship.
Oh, okay.
And
I
now
just wanted to make sure you weren't talking about the other games too.
No, the internet is now mocking them unmercilessly because they won a second-round playoff series and they were acting like they had won the NBA title.
Oh, I'll say this: the one scene of the guys throwing trash at the Pacer fan walking away and hit him with a trash can, and they just kept accosting this guy for just being a fan of another team. I hate that stuff. And it's one of the reasons why I really don't go to a ton of games anymore. I mean, I'll go to baseball games because more so it's laid back. The playoffs can be a little bit more animated. But, I don't like going to games and running into people that are being jackasses because I can't keep my mouth shut when I see something like that. So.
That's why, for the most part, I will not ever go to an NFL game ever again. I'm good.
I don't have a problem with the over-the-top celebration, though. It's been 25 years. The Knicks should, even if you think about going back to the Eastern Conference Final, but even before then, how long has it been since it's the 70s?
Oh,
since
yeah.
they won?
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's a huge fan base there. I don't know how, and I think the reason I'm pulling for the Knicks, and I can't believe I'm saying this and don't tell him, when I see Ed talk about the Knicks and how much it means to them to see them be good again, and how much he's enjoying the NBA playoffs as a hockey guy, I just want to see it happen. I kind of want the Knicks to go and then lose in the final so I can still make fun of Ed.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
What's coming up this week?
Well, it's just Ed and I. So Rob's on vacation, and then next week I'm in Ireland. So, are you even on Memorial Day?
No, we're not going to be on Memorial Day.
Okay,
and it used to be because I was over at another place, but I guess I'm not there either.
Oh God.
Yeah, it used to be because I would go
That's
do your
the one
show.
that's going to get me in trouble, not the underage thing.
Oh man. What are you seeing somebody in Ireland? Or are you?
We're seeing the Lumineers in Ireland.
That's what I thought.
So we were. My wife booked it and set it up. I love the Lumineers, but I love music. As I said to you, I'm seeing the Lumineers there. As soon as I get back 2 days later, I'm seeing Wu-Tang and Run the Jewels, and then Mumford and Sons and the Lumineers.
Very normal month. Very normal month. A lot of people doing that these days. I'm doing.
But we're spending 8 days over there, so I really want to see everything. They were telling me the pubs close early, at 8 or 9, and if you want to go out, you got to go to a club. That's how the whole scene is different. But I always like seeing the different way people live.
You have to leave the pub and go to a discotheque?
To go to a club. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
The oldest pub in the world is there, and I think my buddy just texted me that they stay open till 11 or 12.
All right.
But I think they also open the pubs up really early. So.
Well, hell, at our age, there's no staying out past that time. My God.
It was perfect for me. I was like, hey, I got a built-in excuse to go to bed at 9:30.
Man. At JCon Sports, ConcreteLocks.com with 2 N's, Big Bad Morning Show 105.7 The Fan. Love you, buddy. Let's talk again in 2 weeks, all right?
Yep, appreciate it, man.
Jeremy Conn with us here on GCR. Yeah, that went a different way.
I think it went about as expected, right?
About as expected, I agree with. But I was just trying to get him to tell stories of SI swimsuit models that perhaps had meant something to him in his life the way that Tyra Banks had meant something to me in my life. I remember when Steffi Graf posed for the SI swimsuit issue, and all of a sudden we were like, I never knew. It was a learning moment in my life. I thought that was where that conversation was going to go. Suddenly I it went a completely.
I'm trying to think of the first one. I think the first magazine. I guess my dad had some sort of magazine, and Jennifer Aniston was on the cover.
Was it an essay or was it
No,
like
it
a?
wasn't
Was it like a Maxim?
No, I don't know. It was like some. I feel like it was like a legit magazine or
like
something.
a Vanity Fair or
Maybe,
something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
Was your dad into People?
No, I don't know. I don't know why we had. I don't know why we had it, but I saw Jennifer Aniston. And I was like, oh.
Dad's just reading Cosmo, huh? Figuring out what's going on in the fashion world. Can't blame him for that. I definitely like my parents were very religious, so even the SI swimsuit issue was too far for them. In fact, like in their church, there was this big movement for people that subscribed to Sports Illustrated would throw out the SI swimsuit issue when it arrived in their mailbox. It was very performative, very over the top, right? Like, but they would make a whole thing out of it. Like they would like talk about it in their church and stuff like that. And so I had to like get my buddy's brother to like drive me to Barnes and Noble to go buy a copy of the SI swimsuit issue that I would then keep in my room, as if I didn't know that. As if I could. God, I hope he would be so mad still to this day. As if I hadn't already found my father's Playboys. Like as if I hadn't already done that. Like, Dad, love you eternally. The greatest man I've ever known. And for the point, this impacts that not at all. It adds to why you're the greatest man I've ever known. We should all have a stack of Playboys that our kids find to learn things at some point. That's the way it's supposed to work. They go on the internet, they could see things they definitely shouldn't be seeing. But Playboy was a nice soft introduction to the world of adult things. The SI swimsuit issue was like
nice and soft.
Yeah, it was like leading into it, right? Like the SI swimsuit issue got you ready for finding your dad's Playboys, right? Like it was, you had to take a step at a time in order to go that route and get to the point where you became a man at some point, and then start smoking cigarettes when you were 12 and a half. You know how that works, being a man. So I was just thinking maybe the conversation would go that way.
My aunt got me a Sports Illustrated subscription, I think, when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I got it for I don't know, I think we had it for a year, maybe 2 years or so.
Do you remember who the cover model was on the swimsuit issue?
I want to say I think one of them was Kate Upton.
Oh yeah, that was a famous one. That was a very famous
sure
one.
One was Kate Upton. I can't remember who the other one was.
Alex, you have any SI swimsuit, or are you too young? Well, you're not that much younger than Griffin.
My dad had the SI swimsuits. No Playboys though.
No, you never got to find your dad's Playboys.
No, not him.
What a
not
time!
him.
What a time that was. What a time to be. And then you would go searching for your buddy's dad's Playboys too. Like you would go around the neighborhood and you would like go through attics, and then you'd find like old like nudie magazines that they had from like the 1970s, and you'd be like, oh wow, this is great. Oh, what a time to be alive, man. What a time to be alive.
Oh wow.
What do you?
I was just looking up the list of every cover model for the past, and they go back to like the 1960s.
Oh, I definitely. I mean,
this will be the tidbit.
I'm telling you, Tyra was high on the list. He's right. Kathy Ireland was one that stood out significantly. That Kate Upton one from a few years back was a very famous one.
I think that's the one my dad
Nina
had.
Agdal.
Yeah.
Nina
Agdal. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one. I remember the Kate Upton. I remember what she looked like on that cover. It was a time. Do they still make the actual magazine, or is it just online?
Don't know.
I think it's just because obviously they made a big deal.
Sure.
Like they did the Salma Hayek thing's gotten a lot of attention the last week or so. Haley Van Lith was in this one. That's gotten a lot of attention. She's very handsome, Haley Van Lith.
Handsome?
Libby Dunn is. Wasn't Libby Dunn in the one last year too?
I think so. Or she's been in. Yeah, she's done it in the past.
Because last year, like Angel Reese was in it too, right? I think so. I think Angel Reese was in it last year as well. Because they've been doing that more and more with like athletes and having them involved. Alana Mayer, the rugby girl. She's done it the last couple of years too.
Gotcha.
We're just being wistful now. I'm just thinking about old times. I'm just realizing how sad I am that my kids will never. I should just go find my dad's Playboys.
Hide them somewhere.
And then hide them somewhere in the house for the kids to find in a couple of years.
Sounds like the plan.
Is really what I should do.
That's a good idea.
This is a straight shoot. When my old roommate and I first moved in together in our early 20s, he said to me, we should get a subscription to Playboy. And I said, why? He said, because like, we're in our 20s and we're dudes, and like we just leave it on top of the toilet. When people come over, they can read the Playboy, right? I'm like, I guess, like, sure, we'll do that. So we got a subscription to Playboy. spoiler alert, that roommate turned out he's gay. And it was his idea. And so I brought it up with him recently. I said, hey, what was that all about? Like, was that a distraction thing? You just didn't want us to know? And he was like, oh, no, I genuinely read the articles. Like, I genuinely enjoyed reading all of the content.
So when they
in
get
the
sent to our
Playboy.
house, and I said to my mom, I was like, well, I think there's actual sports articles in there. So, I mean, I'm
Right,
going to keep
right.
this.
You
I
gotta,
read them. I read them.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. God, it was so performative at my parents. They would make it such a big deal. Every year when it came to that time, like the guy that was in charge, because I was, in like the youth group, the guy would get up in front of everybody like, nope, do not be tempted. As soon as it shows up in your mailbox, you take that out and you throw it away. And they would like all the adults would be like, I did it this week. I threw mine away. Like, it would be a whole thing. I'd just be like, yeah, I went out to Barnes & Noble and bought one. Like, I have one at the house. I want to talk about it. We'll come back in. We'll do 3 up and 3 down because Brian. By the way, Brian Powell's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Brian. He asked if we were getting rid of it already. Like I've kept saying, we're going to get rid of the board. Get back to me after next week. After next week, we'll see where we are with all of this stuff. But we'll do 3 up and 3 down. We'll get to know Alex a little bit more, tidbit and tuba, to wrap it up for a Monday edition of GCR. Feeling sluggish, unfocused, or not like yourself? It could be low testosterone. At Game Day Men's Health, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy to help men boost energy, improve mood, and regain confidence. Our treatments, including testosterone cypionate, are safe, natural, and tailored to fit your lifestyle with weekly injections or pellet therapy. Get started today with a free testosterone test and feel the difference. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Game Day Men's Health, where men reclaim their game.
What makes the Costas Inn so special? This is Stan the Fan telling you that it's the people that work for you, cooking and serving. But that menu is also special with a capital S. Soups, salads, the raw bar, pasta dishes, seafood specialties, and entrees like the Costas combos, steaks, chops, ribs, amazingly delicious meatloaf, and all manner of delicious spilling sandwiches, including pit beef and turkey and subs. Of course, the steamed crabs are as good as you can get anywhere, and they serve them 12 months a year. The crab cakes are out of this world. Costas is open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner at 4100 North Point Boulevard, and coming soon, very soon, Costas in Timonium at the OTB Parlor at Timonium Racecourse. We'll get you the opening date real soon.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and on the cover, Luke Jackson looks at the long road back from Tommy John surgery for Orioles closer Felix Bautista, as well as Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Also inside, we learn more about new Maryland basketball coach Buzz Williams from the players who have played for him at other stops. Plus, evaluators around baseball chime in on Orioles top prospect Samuel Basayo. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, winding down for a Monday edition of the program. Yeah, I guess we'll still do this. It is Monday after all.
Three up.
And
how can you even still have it in you?
Charge.
How can
Well,
you
'cause it's still a
even
good
have it?
intro.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Gets me going.
All right, let's get through this quickly. 3 up and 3 down for the week. It's the worst list we've ever made. It's the most depressing 3 up and 3 down of all time.
No, there's some things to be happy about.
This time, I guess we should start with the up.
This would be the first time they went. Yeah, the first time they went winless since we introduced
First
them.
0-6. So this is easily the most worthless up list we've ever had. And it's the most bizarre up list I've ever put together because there's only one person that's really deserving of being on an up list. But the other two that actually had good weeks are the two that you would least expect. Number 3 on my up list for this week is
I didn't do it.
Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton.
Gabe Povich was better than Charlie Morton.
No, he really wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No,
he struck out
wasn't.
9 guys.
That's great.
He let up 2 runs.
Charlie Morton went 7 1/3.
Made 2 mistakes.
Allowing 2 runs. He was better.
I mean,
both times after Messi starts, he came in and righted the ship. And I'm as stunned as you are. But Charlie Morton got the job done this week. Now, it wasn't enough for them to have a chance to win either game, but he did the job in his 2 appearances this week. He allowed a total of 6 base runners over 7 1/3 innings. I'm not suggesting that, but by the way, somebody's going to have to start, so I presume.
I guess he's earned his spot back.
I mean, maybe they just let
Or
Chase McDermott start again because reasons. Like, it's just bad, so why not let the young guys try to figure it out? Maybe that's the better argument here, but Charlie Morton had a good week. He really did. He's number 3 on the list.
I give it to Kate Povich. 5 base runners in 5 2/3. Struck out 9 on Friday night against the Nats. Made 2 bad mistakes. The home run to Nat Lowe and then pitching to James Wood a third time.
The
with
one to
runners
Lowe
in
was
yeah.
insane. I mean, like, just
Charlie
an
Morton
awful
did that too.
pitch.
I mean, gave up home runs. Like
when?
He gave up 1 home run, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He gave a home up.
It was early in the. I don't know. I mean, I was barely watching this week, but
I understand.
I'm pretty sure I got my daily, weekly dose of Charlie Morton serving up a home
Charlie
run.
Morton. Yeah. You just hate him. That's all that
I do
is.
also hate him. That also contributes. Kate Povich, I don't have a deep hatred for just yet. So Kate Povich, my number 3.
Number 2. If you thought Charlie Morton was bizarre, there's an even more bizarre name on this list.
Charlie Morton's more bizarre.
No, it's not. Number 2 this week, made 3 appearances, pitched 5 1/3 innings, allowed no runs.
Oh, you put okay.
And just 3 base runners over 5 1/3 innings. Number 2 this week is Cionel Perez. What kind of Twilight Zone are we in at the moment? Number 2.
I went with their probably the biggest offensive acquisition in the offseason, Ramon Laureano.
Sure.
8 hits, 8 for 18. The offenses wasn't much of it this week.
There
but
wasn't.
He was a source of it. So Ramon Laureano is my number 2. I
fine.
couldn't give it to Cionel Perez.
You just hate these guys. You just hate these guys, but they did their job. Look, Jackson Holliday is the only Oriole that is working at the moment, so Jackson Holliday is obviously number 1 on this list. He had a very good week. On the down list for the week, number 3. By the way, no shortage of guys that can be on this list. My number 3 is Yanier Cano, just because that game they should have won, and it really feels like it's sort of what broke them. Like, I know they were broken before, but they had won the 2 games in Anaheim, and they had their chances, and I mean, that was just an abomination.
Cano's gonna be higher on my list because of all that. Dean Kramer was my number 3. Just given the expectation, or back to Cano, given the expectations and who he's supposed to be.
I don't know how you left one of these 2 dudes off the list. Then I have no idea.
Dean
how
Kramer's
that's
my
possible.
number 3. Just the way that was at the first game of the doubleheader against the Twins when they got 3 runs and then he immediately
gives
pisses
it all
down
back.
his leg.
I understand, but
Dean Kramer's.
But there was worse.
Probably
there was.
Dean Kramer was very. That was also a big. It was like, oh shoot, maybe they're gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but and then he immediately gives up the lead.
Just because he's been good in the past, I can't pretend like it didn't happen. Zach Eflin is number 2. It was an abomination yesterday. It was awful. And even trying to get him to eat innings after that, like, maybe you want to believe that he can, like, settle down and, yeah, you're not going to win, but, like, maybe it might not be that bad. Yes, technically he got you 5 innings, but...
Exactly.
Yeah, technically got you 5 innings while giving up 8 runs in the process. He was...
Yeah, but that Nats team is a buzzsaw.
Awful. That's what it is. He was awful.
Kyle Gibson's my number 2.
Awful yesterday. Kyle Gibson is my number 1.
I put Cano at number 1.
Yeah. Kyle Gibson God bless you, man.
Thanks.
God
Thanks for the
love you.
cameo.
You're a nice guy.
Most expensive cameo.
I guess technically he might still be an Oriole. Like,
so if he could accept.
Yeah, he could accept the assignment 100%. If he just wants to keep pitching, like I don't really know who's grabbing him at this point. It's totally possible that he ends up in Norfolk, but I don't know, man. I think it just might be over for old Kyle. So, there you go. That's 3 up and 3 down. We'll
Sweet.
Still post. Yeah, fun. We'll still post it at GlennClarkRadio.com because
John in Little Rock was upset earlier on that Elias nor Rubenstein met with did it presser met with.
I saw somebody else bring that up. Like it's unfair that the players have to be the ones doing it. I don't think that's an invalid criticism. This is one of the things I'm gonna have to tell you about Rubenstein.
I'm sure the players could have declined to comment as well, like if they wanted to.
Could have, but
I guess that would have looked.
It's weirder, right? If they do. Specifically Elias, right? Rubenstein, was he at the games this weekend?
No idea.
I
feel like I remember seeing him. They showed him on the screen at some point during this week, but that could have been in the middle of the week.
Yeah, if he was at the games this weekend and didn't, then you're right. Like the two of them should have sat down and had a press conference before one of the games this weekend. If he was, this is the thing that I keep trying to talk to people about, that like it is a struggle. Is you want David Rubenstein to care deeply about the Orioles. He doesn't. And it's not because he's not interested in seeing them succeed. It's because he's literally attending World Economic Forums. David Rubenstein is swimming in different waters than
Steve Cohen.
Well, Steve Cohen's closer to those waters, but still not the same. David Rubenstein is the performance of the baseball team is not going to be the top priority, or probably the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth. He's just a different person than other owners. Yes, you want him to care because he is the owner, but he's just got other things that are higher on the list. Still, when you make a managerial change, yes, I agree. That should be important enough to find a way to make yourself available. And if it's, if he was off somewhere else this weekend for something more important, it's finding a time to say, hey, but we're going to make sure we do. You want to do it locally so that like the TV stations can be there and stuff like that, the people that don't travel with the team. But making sure you find a time, a Zoom call, whatever it is that you got to do to be available for both Elias and Rubenstein.
If they do something today, does that resolve it somewhat?
No, really doesn't. Really doesn't. But they still should. Yeah. They should still do it. But it should have happened by now. John's right. John's right about that. It's absolutely a fair and warranted criticism.
He said he knew once they did that Rubenstein bobblehead, he knew this team was heading for disaster.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with anything. And by the way, people that think it's about his ego, like it wasn't David Rubenstein's idea.
I also guarantee that. I'm sure someone pitched, "Hey, everyone really likes you."
Yeah, it was fun. People enjoyed you throwing hats around. Why don't we do this? Like, fine, I'll do it. Like the idea that David, I just think you guys don't understand. And I say you guys royally. It's not me pointing out anybody in particular. David Rubenstein is a top level, like, he's friends with presidents. He has bigger fish to fry than a baseball team. And you can say, well, then why buy the baseball team? Because there's value there.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's more or less. Why buy the Magna Carta? Right? Like, he bought the Magna Carta. He's not checking in on the Magna Carta every day.
Well, maybe he is.
I don't think so. That's just kind of the reality of what you're dealing with when you get into private equity. Like that, I said this when David Rubenstein bought the team. Everybody else was doing cartwheels. And I still thought it was better for the city that the team wasn't owned by the Angelos family. But I said then, this is someone involved in private equity. Private equity, they care about profit. That's what they're concerned about. So I need to see. Now, like a lot of people, I got duped because right afterwards we got the Corbin Burns thing. And I was like, all right, the times they are changing. But, like, the priority still isn't, I'm just going to do reckless things in order to make the baseball team win. That's not how the people in this industry succeed, is by making reckless decisions. So I hope that they'll find a common ground between those two things. And I think that we all understand they're not going to spend like the Dodgers or the Yankees, but a common ground between that and this is just kind of all we're asking for moving forward. You already heard from him once, but we do have a new intern this next few weeks. Alex Wilson is a lacrosse player at Stevenson.
Didn't have your theme music ready. I'm sorry.
What was the theme? Do you have something prepared?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I'm trying to think of an Alex song or a Wilson song. I can't really think of anything that fits.
Neither do I.
God.
Here comes the boom.
How does that fit?
Off the top of the head.
How does that fit?
Just a good one.
Oh, this is what you like. It's just what you're gonna go with. I'm like, how does that fit with the theme?
What position did you play?
Attack.
Okay.
I
So
can
what
think
was
of a
your goal
song.
score- What was your goal scoring song?
Oh, we didn't get to
they
pick
don't
one in
really-
high school or
they don't really
college.
do that. Yeah,
I
they
wish.
just sort of
Well,
play
okay,
a
if you
song.
did.
Surfing USA.
Now tell me more about
Nuts.
that.
Just a good song.
I agree with that.
Makes
Are
you smile,
are
makes you move a little
Are you
bit.
an old soul like my buddy Jack Seals is?
I might be.
Jack's always like bringing up classic rock with me.
Really?
And, like old movies and stuff like that. I'm like, man, that's cool. I dig it.
I never knew that about Jack.
Alex, give everybody your background.
Grew up in Georgia. Lived a little bit in Virginia. Graduated from Yorktown High School, Arlington, Virginia. Let's see, up at Stevenson now. Started playing lacrosse when I was in third grade. Haven't looked back. It's so fun. Fastest sport on 2 feet. Did get a little injured though.
Yes, a bit, just
so
a bit.
I've been missing you calling my name on the live stream.
It was good to have you back this year. It was good to have Alex got back out on the field. By the way, I've always just said Alexander because that's how you're listed on the roster. Do you actually prefer Alex?
It's kind of a running joke that you call me Alexander.
That-
and we love it.
Dude, this
we
is
love
the problem. Unless somebody I've talked about this before. I love the man. He knows that I love him. But the problem that I deal with is the man that makes the pronunciation guide and the roster for the team doesn't know how to pronounce his own last name.
Who?
Your coach.
Cantabine.
Yeah. Paul Cantabine or Cantabena or Cantabene. Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't know, and you'll hear him say it different ways.
Yep.
And so then you listen to how he butchers everyone's names on the team.
Scalati.
What's that one supposed to be?
Scaliti.
Oh, okay.
Scarice, he called him like Scorsese.
Puts in syllables where no syllables exist. Where you're like, you just added a fourth syllable to this name.
I'd love to see if you could find a way to mess up your name.
Yeah, he would find a way. He messes up his own name. So this happens all the time where I'm given a roster and given names and it says Alexander Wilson, so I say Alexander Wilson. And then I meet him and he's like, yeah, it's just Alex.
I mean,
just tell me.
Should we
say
leave
that.
it at this point?
No, well, it's up to you. It's your name. I always get frustrated with this. This happened recently with you know what? This happened when we had Fub Peebles on. Where I said to him ahead of time, I'm like, hey, dude, do you want to be Aeneas or do you want to be Fub? And he was like, either one's good. I'm like, bro, it's your name. You're the one. He's like, yeah, but I'm not. Like, it's like you don't want to make it difficult on me. No, dude. You're the name guy. I'm not. Just tell me what you want to go by. He's like, you can go with whatever. I'm like, just please tell me.
I say we keep it then.
You just want to be Alexander Wilson then. Alexander the Great. That's what it's going to be.
I think that's what I was named after.
Moving forward. Is that really? Is that for sure?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, man. So yeah, you did a number on yourself the last couple of years.
Yeah, I just hurt the same knee twice. And then hopefully that's the last time I do it.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But
I hope that's the case.
It's good to be back out there putting a helmet on.
It was good to see you involved in the Man Up again this year. That was great, and everybody was really excited, fired up to have you back. So you are here because why?
Like in Maryland?
No, here in this room,
in press box,
in this room at this desk. Why are you here?
So I want to learn from the best.
Oh, wow. Well, then why are you here?
Thank you.
You're the best,
Griffin.
Griffin's the second best.
Right? No, he was like, I want to learn from a legend. I'm like, oh, and he's like, Griffin Badge.
Griffin is a pretty cool dude.
It's great to have you here. Looking forward to Alex. He's here for a good time, not for a long time.
Yep.
Alex is going to be hitting it hard over the course of the next 6 weeks or so. So we're going to try to get him involved. We're trying to do a crash course to get him up to speed on all the various things that we do. But we're going to give him a segment And you got some social media ideas for me?
I've been thinking. I don't know if I want to let the public know.
All right,
yet.
you better run those by me today because we got to start doing that soon too. But the way that some other interns have kind of hosted our social pages, I think we're going to have Alex try to do a little bit of that for us as well. So looking forward to that. What should we know? What do you care about sports-wise? Like, what are you into?
Lacrosse, football, basketball, baseball.
So when you say like lacrosse, did you watch all the games this weekend?
I did,
Okay,
except
so
for the Penn State one. I missed the last 3 minutes.
Well, that was okay. The last 3 minutes. I was like going to say, if you missed the last quarter, then you missed basically the game.
Yep. Oh, I went to the Orioles game on Friday. I got
Did you?
Drake Holiday. Is that his first name?
Jackson Holiday.
Jackson
but we'll work
Holiday.
on that.
I'm working on it.
We'll work on
I'm
that.
new to the Orioles, but I just got his jersey on Friday.
Okay, very cool. You picked the right one. He's the one that's actually playing baseball right now.
That's good to
so
hear.
you got that going for you. Were you like a Braves fan?
Still am.
Still am. Okay. What about who else did you root for? Or do you root for?
My favorite team of all time's Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
I always try to
in the
explain to
South.
people like how that works.
Yeah.
So I remember being at a Falcons game once at the Georgia Dome, and my buddy was working for the Falcons at the time, and he said to me, he said something like, we always have to be careful. We can't do anything that makes it seem like we're leaning either towards Georgia or Georgia Tech. And I said, what do you mean? And they were wearing the black and like red at that point, and he said, look on the sleeve. We've got some like gold and white on the sleeve, because when somebody accuses us of wearing Georgia colors, we have to be able to turn around and say, but we also have Georgia Tech colors.
Yep.
Like, they are that sensitive to how crazy it is down there. And then as he said to me, and we also know we'll always be second. Like, we will always be second behind college football in this town. I'm like, man, it is a different place.
It's different. I try to explain to my friends like up
So are
here.
you fired up about Malachi Starks then?
I am. I think he's going to do good. Didn't they get 2 dogs?
In this draft, no.
Oh, I must be thinking of another team.
Well, the Eagles have most of them.
All of them. There's so many.
The Eagles have half of the defense.
And I hate the Eagles.
Half of the defense. Why do you hate the Eagles?
These Philly kids. There's so many at
Oh,
Stevenson.
there are a lot of them.
I've never.
Although on the lacrosse team now, it's like half California kids.
Well, it's getting there.
It really is nuts how many like California guys are on the team anymore.
California Colin was one of the first ones.
Sure was. Colin Dobbins.
Shout out Colin Dobbins.
He's back in California now. I heard
Yes,
he
sir.
had a bad injury this year.
Yeah,
too,
he just
right?
broke his collarbone,
Yikes.
but he was like MCLA.
Yeah, he was killing it.
First
right?
place for points. He was a dog.
Was killing it.
Yeah.
He has all these California guys, man. Jack's always like, "Yeah, we need more." I'm like, "What? I don't know."
It's just hard to get them out here. But when they do come, I mean, look,
nice
they're
players,
good.
right? They are nice players. There's no doubt about it. All right, man. We are looking forward to having you here. Looking forward to seeing what you're going to bring to the table, what you're going to bring to social, what you're going to bring to the show, and we'll be getting into that. We got to start it quick because we only have a few weeks, and we also have some changes coming to the show too. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks around here. Good to have you. Are you on social anywhere?
Yep. Alex Wilson _ on Instagram.
Alex Wilson _ on Instagram. Give him a follow there. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by the print issue of Press Box. Final days for you to get this. Not really days, but final weeks. As mid-June, there'll be a new print issue of Press Box hitting stands, but this one's still available. Luke Jackson with the cover story about the hard road back from Tommy John surgery. Go pick it up today for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms. Anywhere you find Press Box around town, or read it all, PressBoxOnline.com.
Cody Bellinger hit a grand slam yesterday in the Yankees Mets game on Sunday Night Baseball. It was a solid game. I really needed Edwin Diaz to get a save, and they ended up blowing it in the 8th inning. The Mets did.
Those sons of bitches.
So yeah, that sucked for me. Also, just seeing the Yankees win, don't love that. But yeah, he did get a kind of excuse me grand slam right into the short porch out there in right. It was his 9th career grand slam for Cody Bellinger. That brings him, he's the 5th guy to hit 9 grand slams among active players. 9 grand slams or more, active MLB players.
Paul Goldschmidt.
Paul Goldschmidt has not hit 9. 7 for Goldie.
Freddie Freeman.
Not Frederick Freeman.
It's a good start.
Also 7.
Good start. Hot start. Nolan Arenado.
No Nolan Arenado.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper just misses.
Manny Machado is on this list.
Manny Machado has the most among active
I
players.
knew that because we did an Orioles one recently, and he was on that list.
12 grand slams for Manny Machado, the most by anybody actively playing baseball.
What about Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge is already on there. 9 for Aaron Judge.
How about Jose Altuve?
No, Altuve.
Bregman, Correa, any of that Astros group? Okay. This is great. It's somehow already Juan Soto.
No, not Juan Soto.
Think it was, but I was just buying
Altuve's
my
got
time.
7. Soto's got less.
Kyle Schwarber.
Nope, no Schwarber.
Andrew McCutchen.
No McCutchen.
What is this list?
Guys that hit grand slams. Missing the guy second with 11 right now. He is currently hurt.
He's currently hurt. Who the hell is currently hurt? Damn.
3 current Yankees on the list.
3. Oh, Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton has 11 grand slams. And, yeah, technically still active.
Technically still active. You are right about that.
One other guy has 9 grand slams.
One other guy has 9 grand slams. Who's a Yankee right now?
No. The 3 Yankees were Stanton, Bellinger, and Judge.
Got it. One other guy who has 9 grand slams that is active right now. God damn. Baez?
Javi Baez. Correct. 9 grand slams for Javier Baez. And then Harper has 8. Also Nick Castellanos and Matt Olson have 8.
It's going to be a deep fly ball to right field for Nick Castellanos.
There you go. Nailed it.
What a reference.
Oh, my God, man.
Wow.
Every time, like the day the Pope died, all of the tweets of people saying they're getting in their Nick Castellanos to hit a home run bets. Just chef's kiss contest. Chef's kiss. All right, let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Dean Kramer on the mound tonight, Orioles Brewers in Milwaukee, because if you hate yourself, you'll keep watching baseball.
So do we start rooting against the Orioles now? So
No, not yet. Not there yet, but there will be a point. Yes, there does become a point in the season where we figure out who the top prospects are in next year's draft, and we come up with a cute hashtag for it.
So did I see right that like the Rockies can't get the first pick?
Because they've already
have sucked so bad?
Yeah, they've already had too many high picks.
So does that really make this an opportunity
Oh,
for the
yeah,
Orioles?
a real good chance to step in. Anyway, Mass tonight, Orioles Brewers 7:40. Dean Kramer and Quinn Priester, the pitching matchup there.
Let's go Quinn
There's
Priester.
no playoffs tonight, just the way that it worked out. So just baseball. Fox Sports 1, Reds Pirates at 6:40. MLB Network, Diamondbacks Dodgers at 10:10. MLB TV, Royals Giants at 9:45. NBA TV, Seattle Storm, Dallas Wings at 8 o'clock. And the USA Network for Brighton and Hove Albion and Liverpool at 3. Netflix for WWE Monday Night Raw at 8. Non-sports. Yeah, good.
It is a naked night.
Good.
Tom Cruise and Molly Alcock and Shakira on Fallon.
Ah, yes, promoting Novocaine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, plugging
Wow.
it. They're like,
From,
did you
3
know
months ago?
it's streaming now, so people might want to watch it. Yeah.
Tom Cruise is in Mission Impossible.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's another one.
It's the only. I swear to God, like the movie theater that I go to, we went to see Thunderbolts on Saturday, and like every poster in the movie theater is for Mission Impossible. There's literally like no other movies coming out.
What number is that?
27. I don't know.
9? Is it 8 or 9? I think. I think it's 8.
They're good. I've given up. I can't keep up. There's too many Mission Impossibles. I'm starting to think this mission might actually be possible.
Well, this one's called the Final Reckoning, right? So I think
if you say so.
I think
this one's the one. This finally becomes the one that's impossible.
Or isn't it that they
does he
do
die in
always-
this one?
They are Mission Impossible, but he beats them every time. It's
Right, then
almost
they're
Mission
not
Impossible.
impossible.
It's Mission Impossible, I think.
I'm starting to believe.
Yeah, but it is for Tom
the
Cruise.
missions are possible.
For Ethan.
Ethan Hunt, yes.
For Ethan Hunt, you know.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it. Do. I was in middle school when the first Tom Cruise Mission Impossible.
Oh,
movie
that's
came
what I
out.
meant to make my tidbit.
Straight
Can you name the Sports Illustrated cover models from when you were in high school? You were in high school
98 to 2001, I guess would be the years. 98,
Yeah.
99, 2000, 2001, yeah. Because they come out in the spring always, right?
Yeah. always February.
Well, Tyra Banks.
Yep, Tyra Banks. Used to be February, and then I guess in 2019 they moved to May for some reason.
Heidi Klum?
Well, so technically Tyra Banks was 20 or 19.
Oh, yeah, it might have been middle school, yeah. Yeah, I might still have been middle
yes,
school.
Tyra Banks was 97.
Okay.
Who did you say after
Heidi
Tyra
Klum?
Banks? Yeah, Heidi Klum was 98. And then the other three, I don't recognize their names. I might not even be able to pronounce their names.
The only other one that I feel like I remember from that time frame would be Rebecca Romaine or Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Rebecca Romaine, yes.
Who's not with John
99.
Stamos anymore. She's with I just found this isn't she with who's the guy that is on the Barstool videos all the time, the actor
So you can get there.
Jerry O'Connell,
Jerry
is that
O'Connell,
his name?
yes.
Aren't they married now?
They are, yeah. They've been married since 07.
I learned that because famously she was married to John Stamos for years.
She was married to Stamos from 98 to 05.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that.
And then she remarried with O'Connell in 2007.
So she's been with him for a long time. I just don't
Almost
think.
20 years.
Well, anyway, I don't know that I can get any more. I'm trying to even guess of somebody.
2000. This was her second apparently her second appearance as a cover model. Daniela Pestova.
I don't know who that is.
Neither do
I have no
Neither
idea
do
who
I.
that is.
01 was Elsa.
Nope.
Benitez.
Elsa from Frozen?
No.
That's
not
a
her,
weird.
not her.
I know they tried to put some more famous people on the covers to get a little more, but like, wow, Elsa, that's bold. What a choice.
There you go. There's your high school.
All right, very good, thank you. What the hell time is it? It's 1 o'clock.
Well, I know.
What are we
that's why-
doing?
So why not?
All right, fair enough. Didn't Beyonce do the cover once?
She's
That was
not
like the
listed.
first
I'm
time.
looking at the covers. She is not listed on the covers. No.
I thought they did like that was the first time they tried to do like
Apparently in 2020, or was it 2020? I'm trying to find. Martha Stewart apparently did it in 23.
Oh yeah, they did that, but that was like these aren't actual covers now. These are like everybody's on.
Yeah.
the,
So in the last 5 years now, they have multiple people listed.
They're not
every
like
year.
doing like one cover anymore. I could have sworn Beyonce did it.
Maybe she like
2007.
Yeah.
2007, the
I thought-
music
I
issue.
thought that was the case.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that one. I do remember.
I think
that.
I remember that one too.
Yeah. Remember
Do
that
you?
one well.
You were born. You were just born.
Man.
03. I remember that photo though.
You're like.
I've seen that on a couple walls in some
Yeah.
college houses.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And then who is the one? I tried to go others that I can remember. Who was the girl that was married to Andy Roddick for a while? And I had her on my show multiple times. There was a while where
Maria
we had.
Sharapova was on.
She was,
in
yes,
06.
but that's not who I'm thinking of. Brooklyn Decker,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Wasn't she on a cover?
Yeah, she was. What cover was she?
So around the mid
2010.
around the late aughts into the early 10s, at the Super Bowl every year, they'd bring by.
She's still married to Aaron.
Oh, okay, good for them. They'd bring by the SI swimsuit models to do the show when you're at the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I swear to God, there's no chance she would.
So why do they do it in May now? I wonder why they.
Yeah, that's weird, right? I don't know what that's all about. Because they always unveiled the cover on Letterman, which is also a weird choice. But Chrissy Teigen, who of
Yes.
course married John Legend and became pretty internet famous after this. The first year, we had no idea who she was, right? Like we just knew she was an SI swimsuit model, and like this was a publicist that always asked, and we were like, yeah, you can always do fun content with SI swimsuit models. So Chrissy Teigen comes on the show the first year, but she's not famous at that point. She's just a swimsuit model. So the next year, wherever we were, Dallas or something like that, Chrissy Teigen is now like somewhat famous. And Chrissy Teigen comes running across the room and says, I think she like even remembered my name.
Glenn.
And said, am I coming on your show again this year? And everybody in the room is like, dude, what the F? Like, what is this? And I couldn't even remember who she was. I couldn't remember her name. I felt terrible.
You said, yeah.
Yeah,
of course. You're coming on.
Of course. Dude, I remember there being a bit where like I don't remember what the story is, and it's gonna sound weird when I say that. Famously, I have like multiple pictures of when I go back to my On This Day of Chrissy Teigen's tongue.
Like just the tongue?
she would like.
There it is. Yeah, that's the one when I was in high school.
It became. Wow. Who is that?
Who is that? Chrissy Teigen, Nina Agdal, and Lily Aldridge.
50th anniversary.
This Chrissy Teigen, I don't remember how it came up, was like talking about her tongue during and we were like, well, what's so special about your tongue or something like that?
I'll show you.
And yeah, it became, and then like she was, like playing like, I'll really, she was playing like we're going to make out or something like that. But then I think she started dating John Legend, and that's what really made her famous, because John Legend at the time was a massive star, right? And so then the following year, I joked like, oh, I remember from last year and the tongue. And she started like, we had a camera on the set. She started like taking her tongue like right up to the camera. Like it was the weirdest thing that I don't really know how it came about.
Sounds
but
like she did a great job on her hit, on her radio.
God love her. She was a great guest. She was a tremendous guest. Unlike whoever the SI swimsuit model was that was apparently dating Aaron Rodgers, but we weren't allowed to know that. Like they came over. You cannot ask her about Aaron Rodgers, and we were all like, why would we ask her about Aaron Rodgers? The hell does she have to do with Aaron Rodgers? Like nobody knew.
That makes you want to ask about Aaron Rodgers.
Now, how do you not ask about Aaron Rodgers?
Kelly Rohrbach? No, who?
I don't know, man. Couldn't tell you who it was, but it was somebody I didn't know.
Yeah, I think it had to be Kelly Rohrbach.
If you say so, I believe you.
She's the only Sports Illustrated model I think
that you've got that's dated Aaron Rodgers. You've pulled up
my research.
You got all the stats.
Yeah.
It's all thing.
Currently dating Brittany Bishop, who not
he is.
Yes, he is.
I was gonna say she is, and if that's the case, good for her. Like I'm good for both of them. I love it when people find love.
Nobody understands nobody knows who she is.
Who Brittany Bishop is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess she's a weirdo. If I just had to guess.
Or maybe she's completely normal.
That would be something, right? Like they're off doing ayahuasca together somewhere. God love them. You crazy kids. Enjoy your time. All right. He's my age, by the way. He's my age. All right. Are we good? Can we wrap up? It's 3:00 in the afternoon.
There's got to be something.
No, we gotta go.
You should.
Shut up.
I'm serious though. Game 6 of the Jets Stars game. That game.
Well, I'm crushed obviously because my Jets are out.
Yeah, that game was amazing. That was.
I believe you.
Because Scheifele's dad died that day,
Oh.
and he scored.
Oh, damn.
The Jets won goal, and Hellebuck was having.
And then they lost. Now it's.
Well, it was 1-1.
God damn,
it was 1-1.
Griffin.
They lost in overtime.
He made me seem like it was. I
a
didn't know what
great
team he
game.
played
It was
for.
just great. It was just.
He could have been on the winning team.
It was just great theater.
Jeez. Griffin's like, it was wonderful because his dad died and then he lost, and I'm like, Jesus.
No, he scored the goal.
What's wrong with you? Maybe you should start talking about how
he
middle school girls look good these days. Maybe
he did commit the penalty.
Jesus, God. Thanks. This is
for Mark Scheifele.
Real heartwarming story.
But Hellebuck had like his first good game on the road all postseason.
I don't remember what I watched on Saturday. I think I might have even had it on in the background, but I had to cram for the prep lacrosse championship yesterday, so. I wasn't really paying attention to anything on Saturday night. But I did watch Novocaine on Friday. That was worth it.
Congrats.
Worth it. Definitely worth the time. Somebody told me I should watch Overcompensating, which is on Prime, I think.
Yes, that just came out.
And so I watched a couple of episodes, and it's much like that Mindy Kaling show, the one that Renee Rapp was on that I watched, where it's like, this is not for me.
The Sex Lives of
College it's girls. Like that. This is not for me.
Yeah, okay, yeah, now I remember this one. Yeah,
but it is a well-made show. The show is good. It's just not supposed to be for 42-year-old straight men. Like, it's supposed to be for somebody else.
A closeted former football player.
Yes.
As he tries to navigate the world of college.
It's a well-made show. Apparently, Charlie XCX is involved somehow. Like Connie Britton, who I've always been a fan of, who was on Friday Night Lights. She was Coach Taylor's wife. I love her. Lots of things to like about it, but I reiterate, it ain't for 41-year-old straight men. Like, that's just not the intended target of the show. But it's a well-made show.
But
and
it
you know
is
me.
for this 41-year-old.
And you know me. I don't quit shows. I start watching them, and I just even if they're not for me, I'm just going to keep watching. That's the way that it works. All right, thanks today. God damn, we got to go. Thanks to Michael McCarthy.
This will be the last time we go this.
Yeah, right?
John, take it in.
To tell you more about that as the week goes on. Thanks to Chris Rose. Thanks to Gabe Lacques. Thanks to Jeremy. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the... Oh, way to be prepared, dog.
Let's go, Max. You're the best
He just
wrestler
bails out
alive.
and does the same thing he's been doing.
Let's go, Max.
You're the best wrestler alive. All right.
Let's go,
Max. You're the best wrestler alive.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. I love that. Tomorrow on the program, anything?
Buster Olney is going to.
Buster Olney will join us. Orioles fans love him. Buster will be joining us tomorrow. We'll talk more about the fallout from Brandon Hyde's dismissal and anything else.
College lacrosse, I guess.
Stuff and Patrick will join us.
You guys watch any golf?
No, I'm not. Well, I did.
We do not.
I
No,
did
we don't.
yesterday.
The
I'm
answer is
telling
no.
you, we're not golf guys here. We're not.
Zero?
Really.
You guys ever been to like Top Golf?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love Top Golf. But we are not golf watchers.
Okay.
Yesterday, the Orioles are so miserable, and the basketball game proved to be so
Was that the
lopsided.
two worst Game 7s ever?
Oh, my God.
We had two Game
Dreadful.
7s yesterday.
Dreadful.
Neither.
That I said, I guess I'll flip over and see what's going on in the golf. And the PGA Championship has all of the aura of the golf tournament that's happening right now. Like, there is no aura to the PGA Championship whatsoever.
Was it close at
There's
the end?
no. In the end, it was a runaway for Scotty Scheffler. For a minute, when I flipped over, he was only up by one stroke.
was close.
I was like, oh, okay, maybe this will be some compelling theater. Because, like I said, I'm not a golf person, but the Rory stuff was incredibly compelling theater. I was watching. I was glued to it. I was thinking maybe this could be some compelling theater. It was not good theater, and it just felt like I was watching the Hartford Open. It felt like I was watching any old golf tournament. There was just nothing special about it during the course of the broadcast. And it also got drowned out by like Game 7 and other sports that were going on this weekend. Like the U.S. Open is the one where it's really hard, right? Like the U.S. Open, you're only supposed to shoot like 2 under in order to win. That's what gives it its aura. The Masters obviously is Augusta and all that crap. And then the British Open, the aura is the weather sucks, right? Like it's always played when it's raining and miserable, and it's because that's what
cold and windy.
Correct. So that's the aura of the other events. But the PGA Championship, nothing. Has no aura. You waving to Leah?
Yeah, Leah's here already.
Leah's here. Griffin always likes to wave to her. Like she's not going to be walking in
No,
3
she likes me to
minutes.
wave to her.
Oh, okay.
I do like waving to her.
Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Game Day Men's Health, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Thanks to Alex. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday evening. Go Birds. Why not? Duke sucks.